What's going on, people? Welcome to the United Stand. Good evening. I know a lot of you are not going to have had a good day today. The reaction continues. There's so much to talk about. We've got so many guests coming in and out of the show this evening. Big shout out to Rob coming through, man. Robbie, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, man. No worries. It's good to catch up. Probably not in these circumstances, but it's good. Beth, obviously coming through. You're good, Beth?
Yeah, I'm good, but obviously I'm disappointed what happened today, just the same as everybody else, to be honest.
Absolutely, and Rick, I'm pretty sure you can echo that as well. I know you're dead gutted as well.
I'm sick to the stomach, mate, with it. Absolutely sick to the stomach, I am.
It's been bad. I mean, we've got to get straight into it, guys. This is we're going to keep giving you updates as things transpire. There's been so many updates throughout the day, and as we've gone with here, United fans strike back, and just in general, people are starting to strike back. I've seen Prince William talking about how important it is to fix this. The government have said, by all means, that we will do everything we can to try and stop this. Gary Neville has come out fighting. A lot of people are coming out fighting. We've had the Red Army say they're not going to be giving out any season tickets or operating the Red Army next year. Talking about boycotting games. We're talking about teams being kicked out of the competitions. I mean, Beth and Rick and obviously Robbie, we want to get your thoughts on it. Robbie, from an Arsenal point of view, we're all in the mud, aren't we? Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, but you talk about us three, us, Liverpool, and yourselves in terms of having a strong history in English football. How are you feeling on your side?
Yeah, I'm feeling disgusted at the moment. What can I say? It's embarrassing what's happening. I feel embarrassed right now chatting to a Leicester fan, a West Ham fan, and I haven't even done anything. But I just feel embarrassed for what our clubs have done, where they've literally conspired together to set up this cartel. That's what I call it. Mafia-style cartel to take over football in this country. The one thing that our clubs have all got in common, Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Tottenham, is that we all have American owners. Right, and this is nothing against Americans. I love America, love going to America. But the owners of these clubs, of our club, of your club, they're trying to run it like they're running their franchises in America. This is not the LA Rams. This is not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is Arsenal Football Club. This is Manchester United. This is Tottenham. This is, we got a history and tradition of how we do things over here. And if you do well, you win things. And if you do poorly, like Arsenal have been doing this season in the league, and you finish 7th or 8th, you're out of the Champions League. And you're out of the Europa League, and come back next year and try and do better to earn your place back into it. Now, what we're going to have now is basically Arsenal guaranteed a place in the Champions League or in this Super League, as they're going to call it now, right? How can that be fair to, say, a West Ham fan? How can that be fair to a Leicester fan who they've done it all in the right way? They've spent money in the right way. They've built a new training ground. They've bought in, recruited well, got in a good manager. And then what? You turn around at the end of that and you say to them, you're not in this new Super League. Sorry, mate, or actually we're going to have a meeting and see if we can invite you in. It's an absolute travesty. And this is, for me, it's ruining the game that I love. I love going to Arsenal versus Burnley or West Brom away. That's part of what makes the Premier League so good. Now those games are just going to become insignificant, aren't they? If you've got Arsenal are playing in the Super League, and on Wednesday night they've got Barcelona. I mean, you already see the amount of players we rest, and we're only playing in the Europa League, let alone what's going to happen when we're in something like this. Those games are just going to become meaningless. You could literally see the Premier League becoming like a Carabao Cup, where it's like, you just send out a second team in the Premier League because it don't matter. You're already in the Super League. It's all on that. So for me, I'm really, really disgusted, especially with the way they've gone about this as well. The sneaky, underhand way. The fact there's been no consultation with football fans whatsoever, especially in a time like this when we're having this pandemic. You've got people out here dying, you know. They should be coming out with something saying, what can we do to get fans back in the ground, and what are we going to do about season ticket prices? Those should be the discussions they're having at the moment with fans. Instead, they go and drop this. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it is. Definitely echo a lot of your thoughts there, KG. Just joining us. How you doing, bro?
I'm good.
Big up, man. Beth, look, this is something that it doesn't matter what generation of fan you are in your club. And this is where I think this is really interesting, because we've got a lot of ages just sitting right here in this very video. And Beth, obviously being the youngest, how are you seeing it just in general? All you know is Manchester United all your life, but this is an attack on football as well as our club.
It's not even just an attack on British football. It's an attack on European football for all these clubs being involved in this. It's basically trying to turn British football into an Americanized, globalized brand, the way that they do it in America. And I think it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. The negative effect that this is going to have on fans. No one's thought about fans. All they've thought about is the money that they're going to be earning off this scheme. And to do it during the pandemic, it's disgusting as it is, but to do it during the pandemic when there's no fans in the ground to make noise, because let's be honest, if there was fans in the ground, they wouldn't be getting away with it the way that they're doing now. I mean, people are making noise even though they're not in the ground, but if they were in the ground, they know exactly what would happen. I mean, the top four race every year, United, Arsenal, we've been in and out of that for years now. And we're now starting to get back into that top four. And it feels good as a United fan that your club is improving and you can get into that European race with the best clubs in the world. Why should clubs like Manchester United, Spurs, Arsenal, who keep differing whether it's the top or mid-table, be just guaranteed into some Super League because they have money and because they're a big club? And then the Premier League with teams such as the not lower quality, but teams that don't have the same amount of money as us.
Smaller clubs
rising through the ranks, getting managers in, as Robbie was saying. Clubs like Burnley, for example, they have no money. Sean Dyche has done an incredible job to keep them in the Premier League. It means something to the clubs. The Premier League means something to the clubs. And now the clubs like Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal, all of these clubs are not going to care about the Premier League. They're going to care about the Super League because that's where the money is. And do you know what? What is even the point turning up to games in the Super League? Because you're still getting paid a hell of a lot of money. I think it's 50 million just for being in that. And then obviously the signing on fee is ridiculous as well. And you're not going to get relegated from it. And what is the incentive in the Premier League? What? To win the title, not the top four race. I think it's disgusting. The way they've gone about it is disgusting. And the fact that UEFA have come out and said how snaky that Ed Woodward is, Joel Glazer is, and said that they were lying to them on the phone last week about all of this stuff, just shows how disgusting and money hungry and slimy our owners are. And the fact Joel Glazer is the vice chairman to this just says it all, really. The Glazers and the people at the top of this club are destroying it, and they've been destroying it for years, but this is the icing on the cake now. If this goes ahead and this Super League is a thing, I will not be able to support what the club are doing while they're in charge of it, because I just think it's disgusting. And I wasn't around when we won the treble. I wasn't born. I'll never be able to hopefully get us to see us win that again in my lifetime if this happens. The glory of football, Ollie scoring that goal in the Champions League final, that won't be the same for me now. And I just think they've absolutely just said to the fans, basically, up yours in that respect. And I think they're all disgusting and just trying to put money in their back pockets, and it's awful. And everyone needs to rise up against it. Managers, players, all football supporters. It can't go ahead, but it looks like it's going to.
Before I come to you, Rick, a couple of super chats here. Mark Dobby says the Glazers' loan to buy United must have came with a clause that they had to back this at all costs. It's been in the works at United for 16 years. Benson Thomas says, Fabrizio tweeted, interesting quote from Klopp. I'm going to check that out. That's another thing, guys. We've got a lot of quotes coming in now. I know Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher are now live on Monday Night Football. I've got some quotes here I'm going to read out. We're going to be giving you guys the latest news as it happens. Joseph Borg says, football sold its soul a long time ago. Players criticising clubs are hypocrites when they get paid millions to kick a ball. Oliver H says, what is even more awful is that we will all buy every player like Grealish, Ndidi, Haaland, Sancho, and all of those clubs will be ruined. Justin Monday says, I'm sure NBC, CBS and Paramount will have something to say about this. It's crazy to think we should say the Glazers are killing the club. Guess they are calling our bluff. And AJ Singh says, this might be the best thing when it fails. The Glazers and co will have no financial incentive to keep United, and the sanctions imposed on our clubs will give this club back to us. They will sell, basically thinking it will do. Ricky, there's a quick quote here coming through from Jamie Carragher. He's live on Monday Night Football. This is from Jamie Carragher. No different to Gary and every supporter up and down the country. What I would say is this is not Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal, Man City involved. This is John Henry and the FSG. This is the Glazers. This is Roman Abramovich, Sheikh Mansour, Stan Kroenke and Daniel Levy. These are the people to blame for this. What they're doing right now is dragging institutions we've seen in this country for hundreds of years, basically through the mud, burning the history of what those clubs are about because your own club's point of view. The only reason Liverpool are in this or have a chance of being in the Super League is because they've won 6 European Cups or 20 league titles. Only one each came under the FSG. So strong words there from Carragher, and there's plenty more, but I want to hear from you guys. Rick, you look at how our club was built, the DNA of our club, the Busby Babes, etc., etc. How are you feeling about all of this?
I'm absolutely devastated. I can't really find the words to say how ill I am with it. Flex, honestly, it's absolutely disgraceful. As like Robbie said, like Beth said, so greedy. I mean, how much power do they want? The difference between the haves and the have-nots is already a massive chasm. Massive. Somebody sent me a comment from the TV yesterday that we had David De Gea on the bench, and that his salary is about half of the salary that the whole of Burnley squad gets. You know what I mean? The difference between the haves and the have-nots is already so massive, and yet they're trying to make it, even bigger, but in an enormous way as well. Not a little bit bigger. It's just absolutely appalling. And the thing about, I saw a quote from the Manchester Evening News as well today that United have apparently said that they want to play in this new Super League and the Premier League. But get this, if the Super League doesn't get off the ground this season, but it gets off the ground next season, they want to play in the Champions League this season. Did you see that?
Yeah.
They want to play in the Champions League.
They do want to play in it, yeah.
Of course they do. They don't want to burn the bridges, do they? But what can the Premier League do? Can the Premier? I've been trying to think about the possible permutations, mate. And the Premier League can't afford not to have the likes of United and Arsenal and Liverpool in the Premier League. I don't know.
This is why they've done it.
Yeah. They can't afford not to have them. They'd be, what did he call it? Biting the hand that feeds them, so to speak, wouldn't they? I thought about so much about it. Like I mentioned this morning, Leeds versus Liverpool tonight. Obviously, being a United fan, I was hoping for Liverpool to lose that game. Look, they're expecting to start this next season, so top 4 already doesn't matter now this season. It probably doesn't matter, does it? Doesn't matter whether Liverpool win, lose, or bloody draw that game tonight. You know what I mean? It's just disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
It's spoiling football. It really is. KG, I know you haven't had your say on this, and feel free to come in as well, Robbie, on the back of what KG says, because I know your time is limited as well. Just before I come to KG, Shurab says, once in a while, somebody needs to kick up the arse. This time, the time is now, and that somebody are the owners of these clubs. FA, UEFA should ban the players who participate. Don't let them play in the World Cup or the Euros or the Premier League or the Champions League, Super League, or the Champions League, sorry. And Carl says, top 6 owners, rich in finances, poor in morals, sad world we live in. Ricky, save us our only hope, says Jay Lings, fam. I wish Ricky could. I wish one single person could save us from this mess. And yeah, I'll get on more super chats in a bit. But KG, it's been a big day. It's been a big day. The news was kind of breaking yesterday. A lot of people expected this sort of thing. Money is ruining football. They expected this kind of wave. Some people see it as like a little bit of a, don't know, like a standoff between two big bullies. How are you seeing it?
I think it's this. I think it's something's pissing me off about it, and not just like. There's a thing that everyone's talking about, saying football has been taken away from us. It's been taken away from the fans. Football's taken away from the fans years ago. They don't care about us. That's the bottom line, and it's like that's the part for me that I struggle with is they're trying to galvanize us, like the fans, and say, "Hey guys, do something about it." But you don't care about us. If they cared about our opinion, would they have sold Man United to the Glazers? In debt, look at the way our club was sold. It's disgusting. So you got those issues. Then you got less because there's so many different levels of this. We're the pawns. All they said is, "Come, guys, be emotional to make these." Because right now there's big poker happening. There's poker happening at the top level with FIFA and our clubs and the top six. Everyone's looking at each other and posturing and saying, "Who's gonna push first?" Now let's have it right on the UEFA. I know they want to say, "Hey guys, you're not going to play Champions League." Well, you can't do that. That's the bottom line. You can't say to all the biggest, greatest players in the world, "I don't care if you don't play. If you don't play that tournament, you're not going to play over here." It's impossible because it's all about money. No one watches the UEFA Cup without seeing the Mbappes, the Pogbas, the greatest players in the world. They bring the eyes. Everything is a money move. So now you've made that comment. Just imagine a World Cup without the greatest players. Who's going to watch it? Yesterday, I was speaking to a friend and I said, let's have it right. How many people watched Leicester versus Southampton yesterday? Really? Or really?
I didn't watch it.
Of course you didn't.
I watched the second half.
You watched the second half. No one was coming to it. How many people watched Man City versus Chelsea the other day? All of us.
All of us, yeah.
And
we all on like half an hour before, probably just waiting for it. That's the difference, isn't it?
That's the bottom line. So now they're saying, listen, you lot can't move without us. You need us. There's two people working at things. But let's get into Sky, for instance. Sky, yeah, they hiked the prices up. In the COVID, yeah, they tried to do box office. Do you not remember that shit?
Yeah.
15 quid for Fulham versus Sheffield United.
Now you're telling me that you care about me. You don't give a damn about me. Now you just want my emotion and my energy. Nah, bruv. You man sort this out, bruv. Because end of the day, you still won't care. This is the bottom line is these big clubs, they don't care about us. This argument is bigger than us. All they're trying to use is the fans' emotion to really get this over the line. Nah, you lot are wrong-uns. You sold this thing years ago. You don't care about Burnley. Like when we break it down, when the Premier League really kicked off, the top six are getting paid. Scudamore made sure that the TV rights still go to the top six. That's a fact. Yeah, it's not like we're messing around with stuff. That's just the God's honest truth. And it's gonna stay like this. Like, I hate how our clubs run. Robbie is sitting here. He don't like how Arsenal's run. Even with the Super League, is Arsenal going to change Robbie? Robbie knows. No, it's not. Is it going to change for Man United? Definitely not. So what we doing, like this whole thing is like posturing, and all that's going to happen is it's not going to kick off. It's not going to happen. They're going to have to agree in the Champions League. They're going to
get better terms. Yeah,
they're going to get better terms. That's all.
You know what, KG, right? I'm not sure. I think it will happen.
I agree.
I think it will happen. I think these guys, right? These are calculated businessmen. We may hate them, but they're good at business, right? And they would have known the reaction they were going to get here. They've been working on this for a long time. And let's remember, all the changes that they've been trying to make in the Champions League have been to appease these clubs. Mm-hmm. Because these clubs, Arsenal, Man United, these clubs, that particularly the ones with the American owners, have been going to the people at UEFA and saying, "Well, hold on a minute, how can we not be in the Champions League? Arsenal, we're the biggest club in London. We're one of the 8th biggest sporting franchise in the world. How can we not be in it? Manchester United, they're the biggest franchise in the world. How can we not? What are you telling me about top 4? We need to be in it." So they've made all these concessions. They've said, all right, I'll tell you what we'll do. It won't be top 4 no more. We'll make it so that more clubs get in. They've tried every little thing, right, to try and appease them. But the one thing that they've not been able to do is say to them, right, you guys can automatically be in it every year, because they know that that would meet with a big backlash.
Yeah.
So basically, these guys have gone away and they've said, well, you know what? We're just going to do our own thing. And look how they done that announcement yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just a little statement on, BBC website or something. They all put it on their own websites. It was an official announcement. You've had people that are part of UEFA and that representing those clubs resign from UEFA. It's very calculated what they're doing.
I want to make
all these sanctions that have been spoken about, things like players won't be able to play for their national team and that. Those are just empty threats as far as I'm concerned, because we've seen in other sports.
Mm-hmm.
Cricket is a sport that I enjoy watching cricket.
Yeah.
When they first brought the IPL into cricket and, various things like that, a lot of the countries said the same thing. If you go and play in the IPL, you will not be able to play for West Indies, England, things like that. These cricketers just said, well, see you later then, because there's more money over there. And then in time, they've had to bring them back into the fold. You know what I mean? So I honestly feel that this is a calculated move. I feel that this is not just posturing. I feel that they are looking to definitely do this. And it's terrible. And then what's going to be the next step? The next step will be the owner of Arsenal, Stan Kroenke, who's just built the most expensive stadium in the world in LA, the LA Rams Stadium. He'll turn around and say the North London Derby is going to be at my stadium in LA. The Glazers will turn around and say, well, guys, we're playing the Manchester Derby in Tampa. The guys, the Liverpool guys will say, well, we're playing the Merseyside Derby in Boston. This is the sort of things that are going to be next. The football is no longer with they don't understand, right? That this is not American sport, right? And if it was an English owner who went to America and was trying to change American sport, he'd be out of order as well. They do things in their way, draft systems, and the way they do it, and that's worked brilliantly for them. But this is our way of doing it. If you do well, you get promoted.
Yeah.
If you win the league, if you get in the top 4, you're in the Champions League. If you drop out of that, it don't matter who you are, you're out.
Yeah.
That is how it should remain. And I just feel that this, and I think you all made the point as well when you're talking about fans. Look when they're doing this as well in a pandemic. They know that we're, sorry, I forgot your name, but sorry, Beth. You made a great point there when you say that they know we're not at the grounds. So we can't walk out. We can't fly a plane over. We can't do anything. We're not there. So I tell you, it's so calculated. They know what they're doing with this. They've planned it and they're executing their plan right now. And also, KG, the point you make about Sky and stuff like that, you are spot on. They would bid for it as well if they could.
Well, they can.
If they could bid for it when it comes round, they'll be bidding for it as well.
100%.
And Gary Neville will probably be beyond there presenting as well. I'm not convinced by all of these guys. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Smash.
Listen, I applaud him. I applaud him for what he said because he's spot on. But the people that are really suffering with this and will suffer are the fans. We're the people who've had no consultation whatsoever. Nobody's spoken to us to say if we like this. And you look on it, you probably look on it and say to yourself, well, boy, as an Arsenal fan, you should be happy. You know what I mean? You haven't even been in the Champions League for about the last 3 seasons. You know, this is you're guaranteed. No, I'm not happy. No, I want to earn my way into the Champions League. If we're crap and we're in 8th, we're crap. Then the owner of my club, go and do something about it to try and get us back to where we should be. But don't buy us back into there. I don't want that. And no Arsenal fan I've spoken to as well wants that either. We don't want that. We want to earn our way back in. And these guys, They're a mafia. They're a cartel. That's what they are. They are a cartel.
Yeah.
Right? They know, they may as well call them flipping Pablo Escobar and people like that. You know what I mean? Because that's what they're doing right now. I don't want it that way. I want Arsenal to earn it. If West Ham get into the top 4 this season, or Leicester, fair play to them. Respect to them. They deserve to play in Europe. Not Arsenal, not Liverpool, the teams that got into that top 4. Simple as. What about a team like Leeds? Leeds is a huge team. What if they next season get into the top 4? You're going to turn around to Leeds and say, I'm sorry, you're not big enough to get into the Champions League. What about Everton that are building a new stadium and investing millions into, to try to get to the top? They used to win, Everton when I was a kid, they were winning league titles. What about them? What about Leicester, who've just invested £100 million into a training ground and doing everything right? Why are they not? It's absolute bullshit.
Like when you break it down, yeah, this is the best part of the play. They know that we're going to come back. That's the point. That, like, as much as I've seen a lot of Man United fans say, "Hey guys, this is the end of my Man United support," you can't end this. Like, we've been heartbroken by this team. Yeah, you're not going anywhere.
They play on our emotions. They play. I remember when Man United guys, right? I remember you guys had the scarves. I used to tease some of the United fans, say, "Boy, you guys look like Norwich," right? And they started telling me the history of these scarves and everything, and I really commended them for what they did, right? And they really did make a good stand, but it fizzled out. United started to get into the Champions League, and that it's just a natural thing.
Guys, just real quick, guys.
It's our emotions. It's our emotions. We love our club. We've been following it all our lives, so they know this. They know this. Maybe I don't know what we're gonna do, but I think
Robbie, are they even interested in the match going fan? I don't think they're even interested in the match going fan.
No.
What they're aiming for is the TV money, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
If they can have an extra 300 million people around the world tuning into United and Arsenal, they don't care if the Emirates is half empty, do they?
This is what it is here. And Beth, I'll come to you straight away, right? For me, what they've done is done a quick maths, yeah? Like you said, these guys are good at business. They know exactly what they're doing. The UK population is what? 60 and a bit million, let's say, yeah? And let's just take Manchester United, for example. Not 30 million of that 60 odd million is not going to be Manchester United supporters. 20 million might not even be. Let's say, I don't know, 5 or 7 million, 10 million. I don't know how much is in it. But they're basically saying, like what Rick said, we could even do without all of the English United fans. That's what our club has said. They said they can do without us. Because I'll tell you what, and this is no disrespect to fans in other countries. This is just a fact. If we take out that 10 million fans, let's just say, we've still got 350 million fans around the world. That'll do us. Damage limitation, and we can get money from that. Arsenal have done the same thing. We've got a big fan base in England. They're the ones who are going to be most pissed off about this. Sod them. Like Ricky said, the Emirates is empty. It's empty. We'll bring the games out here. And guess what? Them stadiums will be full. Them stadiums will be full. Just before we come to Beth, I'll ask you what you think about these, Beth. These are Jurgen Klopp's quotes to BBC. So this is very interesting. I have the same opinion about the Super League. It's a tough one. People aren't happy and I'm not involved. Liverpool FC is more than some decisions. My aim has always been to be a part of the Champions League. I like the idea that West Ham can play in the UEFA Champions League. He goes on to say, remember, the most important parts of the club are the supporters and the team, and we should make sure nothing gets in the way of that. I understand the fans' anger because of the Super League. I don't know exactly why the 12 clubs did it, but it's always more games. It's about more money, nothing else. Very strong words there. No mixing the words there from Jurgen Klopp, Beth.
Yeah, you can tell all these managers will be absolutely fuming. They can't really come out and say it completely, even though in my ideal, all managers, I'd want them all to just walk out, but they're not going to do that. They're under contract. That is their job at the end of the day, and they can only comment as far as they can comment. But as we were saying before, the Glazers, Roman Abramovich, all of the owners will know how annoyed the fans are going to be, especially the British fans that watch the Premier League, and even fans around the world that watch the Premier League and avid Premier League supporters. But as we all said, there's a lot of fans from around the world that watch all of our clubs, but only watch all of our clubs. They're not really bothered about the Premier League. So they know that they'll keep enough of them to keep getting money in. They're probably going to put an absurd subscription fee on this as well. Because let's be honest, are you going to travel to Barcelona? Are you going to travel to Juventus every week?
Every week, every week this is.
To go and watch your team. You're not going to, are you? So you're going to put a huge subscription fee on it. And then they're going to say, as KG was saying, we'll all be annoyed at first. We all won't watch it. But then slowly and surely, when we realise it is going to happen, fans will creep in, and they'll start getting more and more people subscribing to this thing. It's like the news. When it breaks, it's massive. But after more and more time, people forget about it, and people start to latch onto this idea. When the Glazers first started doing what they were doing, as Robbie said, it was all these Glazers out, and that's still there. But people realise there's not what nothing changes. What is going to happen? And I hope to God that the fans, the Parliament are even getting involved. People like Gary Neville who have a platform. All of that is going to make sure that this doesn't happen. But like Robbie said, they've got seriously good lawyers. There's a £5 billion being pumped into this, if not more. There's a whole TV company pumping money into it. Apparently, they've signed a 23-year deal already. I mean, the payout clause is going to be absolutely huge. This is going to happen. They wouldn't have announced it, and they wouldn't have calculated it for this long if it was just going to... It wouldn't just be a bribe to the UEFA. I really don't think it could be. And they know, and they've said it. They've said it like they don't care. They've said it like they actually don't care. They know that FIFA and UEFA will not be able to ban the Mbappes, if PSG join, Harry Kane's, the elite players of the world from the World Cup. The Premier League isn't going to survive without it. At first, we'll all say, we're not watching the subscription service. We're not watching it. We're just going to watch the Premier League. We'll watch the Premier League. But as KG said, we all love our clubs, and there's enough fans from around the world that are still going to tune in and watch it for them to be able to get away with it, even if they did get kicked out of the Premier League. And UEFA and FIFA won't survive, and they'll start letting them back in. And that's how it's going to go. So I generally do think it's goodbye to the Champions League for all these teams. And I think it's a horrible, horrible day for football. And I think it shows how spineless these owners are, that they've done it at this time, and they genuinely don't care. They don't care about us. They don't care.
None of them have come out, have they? Not one of them have come out and said, I'd love one of them, cowards. Of those owners.
All cowards.
Come out and give me a good reason. Give me or give you guys a good reason why this is good for football.
No, because they're silent
from money.
They're
right?
silent.
Apart from money. I want them to come and tell fans.
Yeah.
Fans. The two most important there's three. I always look at it and say there's three important segments to our football, yeah? The fans, the players, and obviously the TV that gets broadcast around the world, right? Nobody has come and said anything to the fans and said, well, guys, listen, this is the reason why we're doing this. It's going to benefit you guys, because they know they can't. There's nothing they can tell us to say that, because you know what? If they came out to me and said, you know what, this will be beneficial to all fans, better than being in UEFA, well, I'll be prepared to listen. But they know they can't tell us that, because basically all it is about is greed. There's no way anybody of any representatives of these clubs can say, well, you know what, it's just about us being in this league every single year and stuff everybody else. Because that's the truth of it. That is the truth of it. It's stuff everybody else, stuff every other team. It's the end of aspirations in football. It's the end of Leicester City stories. It's the end of all those sort of things. Those things are died today, because the aspirations
absolutely died.
Aspirations have been killed, dead.
In one manner, what I'm going to say next, I'm dreading seeing it, but at the same time, it'll be a good thing when we see it, because it's going to happen maybe to United. A form of our form can, the way we've been in recent years, we could be like Arsenal next year, and Arsenal could be like us this year. The form's up and down, but you'd expect in the first season, like Arsenal, where are they now? But are they 9th or something? Arsenal are they 8th or 9th? in the Premier League, not in the European Super League, in the Premier League. So they might find themselves, and it could happen to us, by the way. It can easily happen to us, but certainly you could expect this in the first season for Arsenal or Spurs. They might be in a group of 10 in the Champions League, and they might be, say, 7th in that. They might, if all the teams are still in the Premier League, which is what they want to achieve, they might be 7th or 8th in the Premier League. And the worst thing about that is, in neither of those leagues, once they are 7th or 8th, come January or February, they don't need to finish 4th, do they? The season's over.
The thing is, though, the way you're talking, right, is that we as fans would be saying, "Oh, 7th or 8th, man, what's going on?"
We'll never be happy with
Our
that.
owner will not give a toss.
Exactly.
Because he's still going to get £250 million.
Exactly.
And he's still in the league next year.
Exactly.
He don't care.
There's no incentive. There's no incentive.
It's only us that'll be devastated.
Only people that get devastated, right?
Whether they win, lose, or draw.
It's the same
The
way
only
that
people who
Arsenal
get
United-
devastated are fans. We are the only ones. They don't care. They do not care. The Glazers, the Cronkies,
Bro.
the KSE, they don't give a toss, right? All they care about is the money. And so if we finish 7th and they don't care. I don't even know. Our guy hasn't been to one game this season. We have not seen or heard from him all season, all last season either.
Robbie,
He don't care. When he sat on his ranch,
he won yesterday.
he sat on his ranch in Denver, smoking his big cigars, right? He don't give a. I can tell you. I'll tell you a story. Yeah, I had a friend of mine, right, saw Stan Kroenke at a hotel in LA, right? This was a couple of seasons ago, right? We just had a game where we, if I remember rightly, I think Giroud scored a last-minute goal. It was that season. It was a season we played Leicester in the first game, and I think Giroud scored a last-minute winner, right? And my friend saw Stan Kroenke with a couple of bodyguards in a hotel, went up to him and said, "Oh, Stan, that was a great comeback the other 2 nights ago." And he said, "What?" He said, "Great comeback 2 nights ago." He goes, What do you mean?" He goes, "Arsenal, we got that last minute." He goes, "Oh, yeah. He did not know. He did not have a clue that we'd even played.
There you go.
These guys, the way they treat their football clubs, the way the Glazers treat Man United, Kroenke treats Arsenal, it's almost like you're a property owner. So you guys, you own properties in Manchester, and those ones will be nearby. So you might go and check on those regular to see how they are and that. But the property that you own abroad, you've got an agent who looks after it. And every now and again, you might give him a ring and say, "How's that property going? Everything all right over there?" And the agent says, yeah, it's, everything's fine at the moment. And the only time you have any other interest in that property, apart from that call, is if something goes wrong there. So if the agent rung you out of the blue and says, "Hey, yo, listen, man, we've got a problem here, We've had a bit of a floods, you know what I mean? You might have to send some funds." And that's the way these guys treat a football club. So when it was all going wrong with Arsene Wenger, our owners never came near the club, never got involved. When all of a sudden now those phone calls started going into them and they're saying, "Hey, listen, I didn't really want to disturb you, but it's not going too good here. We're not going to get into the top 4, and the fans are not happy at all." That's when they said, "Oh, all right, well, we might have to change the manager then." They're not interested. They're not interested at all. The only people that are interested in our clubs is us. They're only interested in money. And what happened yesterday is the proof to absolutely everybody involved in football. They don't care. I've had enough of these owners, man. I've had enough of them. I'm sick to death of these owners just coming in, just taking away clubs that have great history. You know what I mean? These guys, the history of Man United and the history of Arsenal, they are taking that now to leverage to make loads more money. And it's disgusting.
That is all they care about. That is all they care about. And more quotes here coming in from Gary Neville. Obviously, he's live on Monday Night Football. Gary Neville on the Glazers says they have stepped over the mark. They are scavengers, and they need booting out of this football club, and they need to be booted out of this country. And he said also that there's a reason why he's been quiet on some things. He basically said, I've stayed quiet on the basis that it's still Manchester United. You can still watch the lads play. I can be happy or sad. I can still watch football in this country. They take dividends out. I can live with that slightly. But what I can't live with is attacking every single football fan in this country. And then he went on to say what I just said there. He said, I believe in free market. And I've always thought, what's the answer to the Glazers? Who takes them out? Russia, China, state money for the 2 to 3 billion it would need. But he's saying that they've overstepped the mark here. Rick, and to bring in KG after the Rick as well, like he's saying, boot the Glazers out. Some people saying, Gary, you've always been silent on the owners. You know, a lot of ex-pros don't really say anything.
Wait, Flex, let me get on this one, please. Gary Neville's taking a piss, yeah? We've been waiting for Gary to talk about the Glazers. Never been involved. Never said anything. Even after the debt, we've been green and gold, all this stuff. Gary, do you know why Gary's upset? Because he owns a team that he's hoping to bring up the leagues. He's got a real investor. He's got a real investor. Go and find out who his investor is. He don't care. Gary's protecting himself. It's guys in the whatever. But let them give Gary the big contract and say, Gary, we need your analysis on.
He does care about Man United, though. He does care about Man United.
No, I'm saying in terms of because, bro, we've had these issues for years. The Glazers don't care. Gary's the first time he said that they're spineless. Bro, talk about we should have been cussing them for years.
He's saying this, KG. He says, I feel slightly complicit. So he's criticizing himself here. This is let me give some of the context, because I don't want it to turn into slagging off Gary Neville when he has been very vocal for the right reasons. But I understand that there are always conflicting things. But he says, I feel slightly complicit. I've stayed pretty quiet in terms of the Glazers over the years. I've done that because I've thought when the club was taken over as a PLC, you knew it could be bought. It was out of the control of the players, fans, everybody. So he's basically saying, I feel complicit. I didn't speak because when it was taken over as a PLC, I basically went, what can we do? Like, it's out of the control of the fans, the players, and everything.
We've been waiting for Gary Neville, and I'm not going to be the first one that's saying this.
Yeah.
Fans have called out to Gary Neville, the people in the highest space, and said, say something about this, bro. This club, it's a joke. Like, we're in debt. They're taking out super dividends. They're telling us that no money is available. Look at how the club is run. As you say, like, it's been how many years? It's been, I don't know how long it's been from Arsenal, not even taking the piss. How long has it been since Arsenal's won the league? What's that?
15?
Not long. Piss.
You know what, right? Ever since these guys took over, they've got nowhere near winning the league.
Now look at us. I used to say that there's no way we could have done 10 years without winning the league. Look at us now. This is what it is. And there's a moment to speak out, and no one in the big places has spoken. All the fans are saying, who's going to galvanize? Man United has a big fan group. Arsenal has a big fan group. Who's going to be the loudest mouthpiece that's going to push this down, push it down? It has to be one of the big guys. It has to be one of the ex-players, because we can't do it. We can't get everyone to unite. Everyone's doing their own thing. If one of these players speak up and say, hey, I'm in position, this is wrong, we need to put a stop to it, we wouldn't be here today. But we are here because
KG, the power is even above these guys. That's what Gary Neville was saying. No, if Rio Ferdinand, I remember speaking to Rio Ferdinand outside West Ham, and I asked him a question about the Glazers, and we didn't really get an answer. He kind of went around it and stuff. But I feel like this is like a step too far. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that ex-pros can't get better at, saying stuff about the runnings of the club and stuff. But I feel like I don't really want to kind of like go at them so much in this instance. Only because you see where you say if one of them would have said something, we wouldn't be here. We would still be here, bro. We would still be here. Do you understand? These people are so powerful.
Flex, understand that. I'm with you, but I'm just saying that what my issue is, they tried to galvanize the general public. Yeah, that's my biggest issue. They tried to tell us, man, hey guys, aren't you upset? Look what they're doing. They don't care about us. Ticket prices. When we trying to get home from games, we can't get home from games. When they hike up the thing, even when you want to pay for your Sky membership, everything Everything is disgusting. They don't think about the average everyday man and what they're going through. They've never thought about us, but now they're saying, hey, what about the fans? What about us for all these years? You don't care about us. Now you need us. Now you need us to negotiate. That's all we are. We're a pawn. And as soon as this gets sorted out, we're going to be discarded again. That's my biggest issue. So that's probably why I'm just upset. I'm annoyed and I'm angry. And I think to myself that there's so many people, as good as Gary is saying this stuff, Gary Neville's sitting here saying this stuff, when that contract comes in, let's say this happens and they say, hey, Mr. Neville, here's the contract. We're going to offer you this. Are you going to sign on a dotted line? We will be there.
I don't think he will. Don't get me wrong. He should have. A lot of ex-pros should have said something before about these clubs. We've seen with Arsenal and United since the owners have taken over. It's the same thing that's happening now with the Super League. They're only going to try and get into the top four. It's a top four race. It's not a Premier League title race. It's a top four race because they want money. That's why they're doing it. This Super League is why they want money. And Gary Neville, all the other ex-pros, they should have said something. They should have. But Gary, when this was announced yesterday, has been the loudest voice and one of the biggest voices that has put himself out there and absolutely gone in on all of these owners and all of these people. Other people have done it as well, but not to his extent. A lot of people have stayed quiet about it, and he has put himself out there and tried to get this out there. And I feel like his video yesterday, it went absolutely viral, and he's putting that out there to a lot of people on national TV, which a lot of ex-pros wouldn't do.
Yeah, I think with my thing on the Gary Neville thing is at least he said something, right? I don't think there's a lot he can do. I mean, it's funny with Gary Neville because I remember him having a pop at us on AFTV at one time.
Mad.
And at that time, fans were moaning about the sort of things we're moaning about now. And there's been many others as well that have had a pop at us over the years. Oh, you get guys come on and ranting. Why are they're not loyal to the club? These guys were coming on and they were complaining about how why are Arsenal no longer ambitious to win leagues? Why are we holding on to Arsene Wenger for so long when everybody can clearly see we need a change? And they were criticized. You're not loyal. AFTV, you guys are just trying to cash in. It's not. Now they all see what we've seen for a very long time. Greed. Greed. Beth, you said it perfectly. For Arsenal, for instance, it's not been a league title race. It's been a top four race to make money, to get into the big cash cow, which is the Champions League. And now that that's started going wrong year in, year out for teams like Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, now all of a sudden they're like, well, how can we change that? Oh, we'll come up with this new league where we're always in it. That way, we're always guaranteed a certain amount of money, right? And this is what fans have been complaining about for year after year after year. And as I said, we get slagged off and we get tainted with this thing about we're disloyal to our club. We ain't disloyal. We love our clubs. It hurts us.
Look when the club's
doing badly. It hurts us when we see the club being run.
Robbie,
it's painful.
1 second.
And now everybody.
Rob, sorry. Look how they treat me at Talk Sport, man. When he was on Talk Sport, them man were. Can you hear me?
Sorry.
Them man was saying to you, you lot are not real fans. They came at you. I remember a video with you and Gary Neville, and he was telling you lot, you're not the real ones. You don't need to sit down when you had all your questions about how these American owners are running this thing. So now, like, there's been so many moments.
Exactly. And you can go back and watch those videos. And that's what I'm saying now. I'm speaking out. And other bands speaking out. Well, listen, the fans, have been speaking out about these things for years. And as I said, you lot are disloyal. No, we're not being disloyal. We love our club and we don't like what we've been seeing and what's been happening to the various clubs in the Premier League and in around, not just the Premier League, in the Championship, right throughout the football pyramid. They're terribly run clubs. All someone's got to do is come in, flash a little bit of money, and next minute you know he's in charge and he's running it, right? And then when they're running it to ruin, and what I'd say is, I think what fans are going to have to do we're going to have to come together on this one. Excuse me. I think I was chatting today to a member of the Arsenal Supporters Trust. And I said to him, what can we do? What can we really do? And he said, Robbie, every fan has to make as much noise as possible. And hopefully, maybe the government, they've said the government that they're angry about this and that. I think maybe they could be the type of people or they're the only people I can see who could possibly throw a spanner in the works.
It needs to go to that level. It needs to go to that level.
They can do certain, they may be able to come off with certain things. You know, they might be able to look at it's almost like a monopoly, or they might, you've seen even sometimes what they've done with some of the big tech companies and stuff like that. So maybe if we put a lot of pressure on the government, you know, we ain't voting for you if you ain't going to do nothing about it.
Yeah,
no,
honestly, that will soon speak to them. I'm aware that KG, I know you got to shoot off as well. So thanks for coming through.
To shoot as well.
Okay, well, on that note, then, as these two go, I know Beth and Ricky got a little bit longer. Robbie, thanks for coming through, man. Obviously, this is going to be trying times. Right?
Thank you very much. And you know what? This is not a United Arsenal thing. This is a football thing right now, right? As I said, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed as an Arsenal fan that, you know, as I said, some people will be thinking, oh, you're lucky, you're in it. At least you're in it. No, I'm not. I'm embarrassed. This is something that, you know, I think needs to be stopped. I don't know how we're going to stop it. I don't know if it will be stopped, but if it's not stopped, it's a very sad day for football. And you know, I want to see these owners of these clubs come out and give us some answers. We are owed some answers. Let them come and like how we're doing this. Let them come on. Let one of them come on and explain the merits of it. Maybe we're getting carried away, but we know they won't.
There's no merits of it, Robbie, is there? There's no merits.
Well, there is a merit. Your bank balance.
Yeah, there's, yeah.
Exactly. 100%. Listen, KG, Robbie, big up yourselves. KG, I'll see you tomorrow for the Flex KG show.
Big up. Stay blessed.
Nice one. Take care. There you go, guys. I mean, Rick and Beth, the lone stragglers still here. We've got Alex coming on soon. We've got Jay coming in. We've got Jack coming in. There's going to be more to come in. But Rick, like, you know, on the back end of what the guys were saying there, with maybe people should be speaking up and how much people can change this. What do you think is going to happen from here, and how much influence do you think that us as fans, bigger organisations, the government, etc., can have over this?
It's so difficult to gauge, mate. It really is. I think the government have got a chance. Obviously, if anybody's got a chance, the government have. And I watched what they were saying in the Commons this afternoon. You know, they are going to have a go at it, aren't they? Without a shadow of a doubt. So if anybody can pull something off, they can. But I think was it Robbie that was just saying we need to make as much noise as we can and keep on the case. But that's all we can do. But that's really for us. At the government, I think whatever noise we make towards the clubs, it wouldn't have mattered one little bit. And I think it might have been Robbie who said, about Gary Neville should have spoke up ages ago. That wouldn't have made any difference ages ago.
KG said that. Yeah.
KG said that. It wouldn't have made any difference whatsoever. I don't think so.
No, well, Beth, on that, you know, that you know, where Ricky's basically saying that and KG was saying it, do you think, you know, more could have been done by us as fans? Because clearly they don't care about us, do they? At all from the start.
Do you remember ages ago when the fans were really trying to do something about it? There was Glazers out, there was protests, there was everything.
Yeah.
That Edward's house nearly got burnt down. I'm not saying that's right.
No, of course not.
People tried to do things and look where it got us. They're still in charge. Like, we all still watch the games, we go to the games, because it's the club we love at the end of the day. But I tell you one thing, if this goes ahead, I will not spend a single penny of my money on that club until the Glazers sell up. I will not spend another single penny, because my family have paid into that club all of our lives. And for them to take over and do something like this and shove it all back in your face, I think it's disgusting, and I won't pay a single penny towards it. Don't get me wrong, like you were saying before, I do think ex-players people of big stature should have came out and said stuff earlier, because we've all known what the Glazers are like for all this time. We know they've got no ambition. We know they're money hungry. We know that Ed Woodward just talks rubbish 24/7. We know this, and the ex-players should have said that. But you know what? They've not, and now they're actually coming out and they are saying stuff, and they're bringing the voice out, and they're getting their views across to a lot of people, and they're making noise, and that's all you can ask for. Because I do think that stuff, the things that Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher are saying live on air now, is going to reach a big audience, and that's all you can ask for. I think every single person that has a chance to say something about this should do, because it needs to reach as many people as possible. And everyone who supports the club, I would urge to not spend a single bit of money on this when this happens, because they've literally said to you, go away, we don't need you anymore, we don't want you. So why would you spend your money on someone who doesn't care about you and are putting the club into despair? I think it's disgusting, and I honestly can't wait for the day till the Glazers and Ed Woodward are out of that club.
Beth, just quick, Alex has just come in. Welcome to Alex as well. Big up, bro. Yeah, he's just kind of slid in from the side. But Beth, just on what you were saying, I'm not trying to, because look, the shock factor is there. Like you said, when the news initially breaks, you're like, we feel like, well, this isn't my club anymore. I'm done. See you later. I'm walking away. And I know you said there, like, you won't be spending your money on them. Is that how you genuinely feel in terms of maybe once the dust has settled and you know the heartstrings that is pulling on, that you're going to be put in a position where you either choose to follow your club and the players that you love, or, like you said, back away from it and what, just not go to any games anymore? I know your family are season ticket holders. Is that something seriously that's within your household that you've got to discuss, or is it quite early still?
Last night when the news was breaking, we all stayed up very late. We've all been talking about it all day today, and we've said that we probably would be cancelling season tickets at this rate, because the thing is about it, Manchester United is my club, and it'll always be my club, and the players, the manager, everyone around it, who Alex Ferguson, Sir Matt Bubsby, all of them, they are part of the club. But Glazers and Ed Woodward, for making this decision, they are not Manchester United. This is not how Manchester United was made, and I just do not want any money going to them for making this decision, because they know that they can treat us like this and we'll still be there paying money. In a few years' time, people start buying shirts again. People re-sign up to season tickets. People re-sign up to games. People, after a few months, will probably sign up to the subscription that they're going to put out, because they miss watching the games. They miss the club. But at the moment, how I feel is I'll support United and I love the club, but I am not paying any money towards the Glazers after making this decision. And I hope everyone else feels the same way, because if everybody makes a stand, it could possibly change stuff. I don't know if it will, because of the amount of fans that we do have globally, and the way I know some people only follow United. They don't follow the Premier League, so they're probably not bothered. But for me personally, after just hearing the news, it's so tough, because I followed United all my life. I want to watch the games. I love the club, but I don't want to put a single penny into the Glazers' pockets. I really don't. So it's a really tough thing for us at the moment. I think that's why everyone's so devastated as well, because they want to follow the club and they want to support the club, but they feel guilty paying any money towards Edward, the Glazers, everyone who's making these awful decisions. And I think that's why everyone in my household as well is absolutely fuming. We're all devastated, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up to Jack, who's just come in as well. Jack and Alex. Just quick, I wanted to ask Rick this though, just because I'm not sure if you're staying past 8 o'clock, Rick. So feel free if you need to shoot off, you shoot off whenever you want. But like, I did want to ask you this, Rick. You were there. Well, I was there in '92, but I was a lot younger. But in 1992, when the Premier League was formed, I've seen some people have the argument or the conversation point that, listen, shock factor happens in football. When the Premier League was built, it was the same situation then. I know this is different because it's closed competition. I understand that. But in terms of the feeling and the outrage, obviously you would have been a lot older than I was when that happened, so I can't really remember it. What is this similar, like the shock factor that you're seeing, or is this like, no, Flex, I'll tell you what, I was there in 92 and this isn't it. This is worse.
Yeah, this is worse now. Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, even though I'm a lot older than you, Fletch,
I didn't mean to keep highlighting that. I apologise.
About 30 years ago, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's not like it was last week or something.
Exactly.
But I don't remember it being anything like this. No, I really don't.
And do you think that will play a part in why this maybe won't happen? I mean, actually to finish off, Rick, for you, what is your gut feeling on this? Do you think that this can come crumbling by the wayside because there's just too much to go?
Look, I can think of three. There's probably other possible outcomes, but I can think of three possible outcomes. Mm-hmm. One is that they just say we're doing it and that's that, and maybe the Premier League stick with the guns and they're not allowed to play in the Premier League. It's a possible outcome, but I don't see that being the outcome. And then there's the outcome that they get forced down and they have to, jack the idea in and they just still play in the Premier League and the Champions League. That'd be the best outcome. Of course, that's what we all want. But I'm just a bit concerned that they might go ahead with it and that the Premier League might back down and let them play in the Premier League as well. And I think it'd be a disaster. I really do. Whether the government can, we've just touched on this, haven't we? I don't think whatever the fans say or do, especially, look, it's great us being here and talking about it, and when we organise rallies at the stadium. But as we said earlier, it's about the millions of people watching on TV around the world, and they can put the prices up to these people. Millions of people watching on the TV around the world. They're not bothered about us, and no matter how much noise we make, it's not going to be loud enough. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to sound as though I'm not saying give up and don't try to do anything. Yeah. I'm not saying that, but I can't see it having any effect whatsoever. So it's a case of if the government can stop it or if they can't stop it. But if they can't stop it, I think the Premier League will back down. The Premier League without United, Liverpool, Arsenal, it's going to be. If I had to have a bet on what the final outcome would be, I would say that it goes ahead, but the teams are still allowed to play in the Premier League. That'd be my bet.
I think that would definitely end up happening. And the thing is, think about the pay-per-view. How many people were so against that? And then I guarantee you, half the people who were against it ended up paying 15 quid for the United match. Like it just does end up happening because you support the club. I mean, that did get cancelled, but the amount of money, lawyers, contracts that have been drawn up about this. They know UEFA, FIFA can't afford to let them go. They are the power in football now. And I think it's going to end up midweek Super League, Financial League, you might as well call it. And then and then at the weekend, it's going to be Premier League. And I feel like all the merit's going to be taken away from it because what is the top four race going to be now? It's just...
It's not going to be a top four race, is it?
No, it's not. It's going to be absolute. Well, there's no incentive to finish as high as you possibly can, is there? There's no incentive to actually win the thing. That's the problem.
How could they have the teams? Like if the Premier League did allow the 6 teams to play in the Premier League, but there would still be a Champions League, wouldn't? Or they might not call it the Champions League. They might rejig it. It might be the Europa Championship or whatever it might be. But those teams that are competing to get in that will be mingled into the Premier League with teams that are already in the Super League.
That's
You might have the team that have finished 7th and 9th and getting into their Champions League or whatever.
That's right. Well, I know disrespect to the clubs that I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but Everton, West Ham, and Leicester might be in the Champions League against Sevilla, Valencia, and Celta Vigo. And I don't know, Atlanta, and I can't even think of another Italian team.
Munich and PSG.
And Bayern Munich and PSG will be favourites, and they might be against Fiorentina or Roma or something like that.
PSG Bayern Munich final every year, in the Champions League. And we're never going to play the likes of Bayern Munich, PSG again, and they're good teams that you want to be playing against in the Champions League. And so, for example, the Mbappe's, Lewandowski's, they're not going to get to play against our type of players. And they've always been a big part of the Champions League. They're the teams you want to play when you get there. And it's not going to be happening. And you're just going to be playing these same teams week in, week out. And I think, obviously, you want to be playing a high caliber of opposition. But when you're playing it every week and the winner gets money, but every other team still gets money no matter where they come. You don't get relegated. What's the incentive? I don't understand it. I think all the competition of merit's being taken out of football. And what annoyed me most about it was the comments that came with that Super League. It'll improve the football pyramid. What? I mean, it's either you know absolutely nothing about football or you're just completely lying to everyone. Probably both of them. And it just disgusts me. The fact Manchester United were still tweeting out and putting Instagrams on United briefing, completely ignoring what they've signed us all up to, just expecting us all to get on with it. I'm done with them. I actually am.
It's bad. Before I get to Alex and Jack, I'm just going to read out a few super chats. I haven't done that in a bit. There's loads here. Beats by Say says, hypocrisy everywhere. Governing bodies have been just as greedy as the owners. Small clubs have been fleecing the top clubs in transfer fees and high wages. Sajid Shetty says, the regulating authorities are complicit when they let shady take over of the clubs. By owners who know nothing about the culture of football, 100%. And Dan says in the past 10 years, Sevilla have won more in Europe than us. 100%. Arsenal, Spurs, City, Juve, Inter, and AC combined yet aren't enough for this. 100%. It's a disgrace. You know, who are we to say that we're super? We ain't won a Champions League since 2008. We're not super.
Exactly.
We ain't won the Premier League since 2013. You know, I'm not even trying to dig out the other clubs because we're all as bad as each other. Actually, I probably think we're probably worse. But
We're
Spurs,
one of the worst ones, along with Real Madrid.
we're one of the worst ones. But Spurs, when have you won anything? Who are you?
That's
Arsenal.
what makes me laugh. How do Spurs deserve to be in this?
How do Arsenal deserve to be in there? Where are Nottingham Forest? Where are Leeds? Where are Villa? Where are these teams? Where are Ajax? Look what they've done for club football. In all of the years. Oliver H says, guys, the Champions League will be crap because these players in the Super League will buy Mbappe, Neymar, Kimmich, and all of those players. Yeah, because what happens when them players say, sod this? This is boring. No disrespect. But, you know, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place as well. The country which liberated Europe from the tyranny of a certain country in the 20th century is trying to create the ultimate apartheid in football today. And guess who's opposing them? What an irony. And the super chat here from Belly Visual says, back in the day when there was players like Figo, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, Ronaldo, Del Piero, and so on, that would have been a good time for a Super League. Now you're going to have a Super League with Rashford, laugh my ass out. Look, it's not about that. I think that's just silly. I think what it is that even if it was at that time, this still would have been wrong. You're saying that you've got a God-given right to be there. Them players that you just mentioned performed at a very high level with big clubs who consistently won things. They consistently earned the right. Like Gary Neville said, he says, I was at this club 20, 25 years and we were always in the Champions League every single year because we earned the right to be there. We didn't finish outside the top four. We didn't have a divine right. And the last one before I get to you, Alex, sorry, man. And he says, hi, guys, hope you're well. Just wanted your thoughts on this. Created a petition on this English clubs to operate the 50+1 rule, what the Bundesliga do. We'll have to check that out. I think over the next coming days/weeks, there's going to be a lot of things that fans are going to want to get involved with and what we need to be vocal about and stuff like that. So we'll definitely check that out. Anise, Alex, I know you've got a lot of views on this. How are you seeing it all? You know, have you know, as one of the ones who are kind of coming in at the back end of this, you've had a bit more time to stew on it before you've come and give your views out loud to this many people. Have you calmed down about it? Do you think that it will simmer down? Do you think that actually, no, it won't happen? So chill, or how do you see it?
If legally it can happen, then it'll 100% happen. People saying like, oh, we need to protest this, yada, yada, yada. When the Glazers first took over, look at the protests there. Do you think for 1 second that they thought, oh, maybe we shouldn't go ahead with this, blah, blah, blah? They couldn't care less. The Glazers are fronting this. If people are upset, they know the whole United fan base is against this. Do you think they care? Do you think they care? They don't care. You've seen the club, the sheer shamelessness to just keep on posting, like Beth said, about like what's going on at United this week and stuff, and how they were cowards, just like they were cowards with RVP. When we sold RVP, they just put it on the website and they were too scared to put it on social media. Again, they've done it. Every single, all the rest of the big six, apart from United and City, put out tweets and obviously got bombarded. But then we were, as usual,
just put it on the website,
cowards.
snuck it in the app.
Yeah, and so the fact that it comes down to saving football is our last hope is Boris Johnson. I don't really hold out that much hope for it, because, like I said, if legally, which I have a feeling legally they can push it ahead, because think how rich all these clubs are. You don't think they'd have had, and this has been in plans for years, you don't think that they'd have had lawyers looking into this, into every single loophole, into everything to go through with it. It'll happen. It'll 100% happen. But with regards to the Premier League saying how they'll kick United out or whatever, like Chris said, and like I said yesterday, we account for so much of the revenue, so much of the viewership. They're not going to kick the big six out. Like it, in terms of the Premier League being like a global type of not business, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
If you kick the big six out in England, you'll still have everyone tuning in for like West Ham v Leicester and games like that. Like English people will, but I feel like such and such in China or in India and stuff, they're not going to be interested in that. They'll be watching the Super League, and so they'll go where the money is. And with regards to the players, like they said, like Beth said before, Mbappe, Neymar, everyone, they'll go to the Super League. Like people are saying, like, oh yeah, our players should stand against it and turn against it. The players it's their livelihood, it's their job. They're gonna, if we offer them to double their wages, they're not going to say anything. It's like, it speaks volumes. Bruno seems to be, as far as I know, the only player that's spoken out against it, hasn't he? Like Herrera said stuff, but Herrera's irrelevant because he plays for PSG, who aren't in it anyway. But Bruno seems to be the only actual like high-profile player.
Well, yeah, Ozil has, but obviously he's not here anymore. But he spoke out, and Prudence is the one who actually spoke out of it, and Bruno supported him, who obviously is at Wolves, but his club's not participating in it. But you're right, the key players of the teams that are in it are very silent now, and I don't think that's a coincidence. You could imagine what the briefing would have been to those players in the next 1 or 2 days after. You do not go on there and say anything, and that's what I said on the show earlier with Owen. Bruno's going to get in a lot of trouble, and Bruno will probably get in a little bit of trouble. But fair play to him, and you know, players like Marcus Rashford. Look, I can't speak for players. I can only give my opinion. But I said it earlier. You know that Marcus Rashford fights for the greater good at all times. He loves Manchester United. You know, this is not about performances. This is not about inconsistency. This is about football and Manchester United and life. And you know, Jack, that, you know, Marcus Rashford is, you know, a player who does a lot for things way above football. How must he be feeling like this? That his employer, because these players are employees. Ollie always talks about the Man United DNA. You look at the group of staff that they're trying to get there. Ollie's trying to recreate his own Sir Alex Ferguson 2.0. That's what Ollie's on. He knows what the club's built of. How's Ollie sitting there thinking now? Does Ollie walk? Should Ollie walk? Do players down tools, Jack?
Marcus Rashford, I had this conversation with my mate earlier. Marcus Rashford will not be sitting there right now standing for any of this. He would not be justifying playing in a league where it's just completely meaningless because it's not football as we know it. And I genuinely, like Alex's point is so true about like the PR spin. Like I don't think, you know, Bruno's come out and said something. There's going to be so much that he's going to have to contend with in terms of the club's going to get on his back. I 100% agree. But I just think when it comes to Rashford, I genuinely believe that him, Ollie, I think the people who bleed Manchester United, they're going to be sitting there like we all are now. I'm devastated. I can't even put into words how all of us feel the same way about this. And this is the thing, when it comes to the fans backing, you talk about the players. Marcus Rashford is United through and through. He's been at the club since young. And I genuinely believe that it's, the root of the problem is the Glazers. And when the Glazers came up with that statement, that did it for me, because since 2005, when the Glazers took over this football club in 2005, 2006, have they ever publicly come out and backed anything? Have they ever publicly come out and said anything? They come out and put a statement on the club website saying that this is, as Beth said, you know, the football pyramid's going to be saved through this whole European Super League. It's an absolute disgrace that us as fans, I'm seeing people cutting their season tickets in half on social media. It's the difference with the cutting the season tickets and, as Beth said, not paying merchandising, you're not going to be paying for this and that. It's all well and good doing that. We have done that. We've done the fan protests, but there will be another fan that will take my seat, my season ticket seat. If I don't want to pay my money, someone else will come along. Alex said it perfectly yesterday on the fan forum. Someone will come and take my seat. There will be another seat to fill. The Glazers don't care about the fans that love this football club and literally live and breathe it like we all do. They just care about the ones that casually watch football and will just switch on, you know, United, Barcelona midweek, and you're paying these extortionate prices. I've seen they're going to be showing it on Disney Plus, DAZN, all these. Have you seen? Imagine watching El Clasico on Disney Plus.
Rick, well, you're used to BBC, Sky, and all these things. When Jack says there though, like, they don't care about us and stuff like that. How much, Rick? When like some of maybe the older generation of fans, do you think they'll stop going to games, Rick, over this?
Look, there's that many fans, Flex. You can't really say that carte blanche, can you? Some will. There'll be some. I won't like to say what percentage. Yeah, 5% of fans. But if you take that of all age groups, it's only going to be a certain percentage. And as Jack said, there's nearly always going to be someone to fill your seat. I think the time might come. The attendances for some of the smaller games, well, certainly not the cup ties. The cup ties, they never sell it out, do they? But the attendances at Old Trafford, even though it was sold out, because obviously it's nearly all season tickets, they always put the attendance up, and there was often 3,000 or 4,000 empty seats, wasn't there? It was creeping in. And I think it's going to creep in more, Mead. I think you'll find that obviously every time we play Liverpool and City, it'll be packed to the rafters. I can see the time coming with this happening where there's 5,000 or 10,000 empty seats for some of the league games. I can see that happening.
People just choosing not to kind of give a crap.
Games, yeah.
It's sad. How Beth, with the Europa League and the Champions League, they're saying that maybe even Chelsea and what's their faces and City could even be kicked out this week, so there won't even be a semi-final next week.
Which will be the same with us, by the way.
And I was just about to say that. And that's the same with us. So make it a Roma Villarreal final right now, because Arsenal will get the same. Do you think that will happen? Or is that too soon?
I think that could definitely happen. I don't think they'll end up kicking us out of the Premier League, because as we've all said, I don't think they've got the financial capabilities to do that. It's all well and good as all saying we'll watch the Premier League, we won't subscribe to this thing that they're going to do, but they can't kick us out of the Premier League. What they can do right now to cause a reaction is kick us out of the Europa League and kick them out of the Champions League to try and cause a stir and make the fans go even crazier. That's what they can do, and I think that's probably what they will do. They should do. Don't get me wrong, I would love to win the Europa League. I still think it's a poor man's Champions League. I think we all know that. But it was a bit of silverware for Ollie and his team, a team that is trying to build up and make into a Premier League winning side, hopefully. But now, clubs like Chelsea, City, who had a very big chance of winning this Champions League, a major competition, they're going to be kicked out of this, and their fans are not going to be happy. We deserve to be kicked out, do not get me wrong, but Manchester City, they're thriving in the Premier League, they're thriving in the Champions League, they've got all the money in the world. Why have they signed up to this competition? I can't get my head around it. They're at the top of their game football-wise. They could risk losing the manager now, because I don't think Pep Guardiola is the type of manager that's going to possibly stick around for this type of thing. I mean, he might take the paycheck, we don't know. But all of these clubs have kind of put this massive risk on this league purely for money. And that makes me think, is it actually that much of a risk? Because why would all these teams sign up for it if it wasn't? But yeah, I do think they'll kick us out of the Europa League, which they should do. I think they will kick them out of the Champions League to cause some sort of stir. But ultimately, we probably won't be kicked out of the Premier League. But then you've got to think, we're paying all this money, because season tickets aren't cheap for a season ticket. And when we go next time, if people do keep them, the quality of football is going to be so much lower, because the clubs are going to be focusing on the Super Cup, because that's where the money is. And there's not really any ambition for the Premier League apart from to win it. And I mean, you're like 5th, 6th, halfway through the season, you're thinking, I'm quite a few points off, we're not going to catch the top. The quality goes down and down and down, because there's no incentive to try and get to that top 4. And yet you're paying 700, 900 quid for a season ticket, and the quality of football, you might not even be seeing the best players playing in the Premier League, because with the money they've got and playing 2 games a week, they're going to have to add players. Yet you're expecting us to pay all that money for the season ticket when it's basically going to be played like a Carabao Cup. I just think they've literally said to the fans, they've just put the fans in the bin. They don't care about us. They care about the money, but they're still going to charge £900 a season ticket. I think it's disgusting.
Rasmus says Leeds Twitter is brilliant. European football is great and should not change. Yeah, they did mug it off there, and they're right. All can win and get relegated. Swedish and German leagues are for the fans. This is from Liam. Liam says I think the players will go where the managers will go. No one will want to be managed by Philip Neville in the Super Cup. Well, you look at that. You know what? You look at that model. You look at that model. That's what they're almost trying to do here. I'm saying if you don't want to do this Super Cup thing, you big American owners, that's how it works in the MLS. Cool, go and make it over there. Go and build new franchises. David Beckham has got a big consortium behind him, big money. He has just built a whole new football club out of nowhere into Miami. We're based in Miami. We've got pink kits with white, whatever. It looks nice. I watched a little bit of their first game against LA Galaxy. Chicharito playing up front against them, and I'm seeing fans in the stands, you know, singing and banging drums and everything. They've just bought into that. That's what happens there. That is, and I don't even necessarily, you know, like get onto them for that. Like that is the American way of their mechanics of how things work. Like you say, I watch a lot of basketball and stuff like that. That's how the NBA works. But it does work. We're not mocking the American game. That's what I'm saying. That's not what this is about.
It's not going to work.
But it's not going to work here. That's just not how it goes. But I want to take the conversation a little bit away from, and this is not me agreeing with it. This is just looking at some of the conversations that I've seen people having, right? Let's leave the clubs for a second because I think we're all unanimous in saying how disgraced we are that our club has signed up for this. But let's look at UEFA, let's look at FIFA, and let's look at the Premier League and the governing bodies. We've just seen UEFA basically show us their remix of the Champions League, of what they want it to be. 36 teams instead of 34. And I was even reading that, say Man United finished 10th, because we're still a big club, we'd actually still get in there. You know, they're reserving them spots for people who maybe don't get in, and then they can still fling them in. If we look at them, aren't the clubs, and I'm not saying they're doing it in the right way, but are the clubs, and this is to anyone, are the clubs kind of saying, well, hold on a minute, you, the Premier League, and you, UEFA and FIFA and all this stuff, you get loads of money off of us, billions, millions, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not saying they're right to cut, because what they're doing is undermining football the way they've done it. But the fundamentals of what they're doing, are they not saying to the likes of the Premier League that, hold on, you lot are taking the piss. You lot are taking the piss. We as clubs can actually come together and cut out this middleman and get what we're deserved instead of making it go to all your pockets, because you guys are just as bad. So we're going to go one step further. Is that a thing?
It's very interesting. I think it comes down to broadcasting rights as well. Like, obviously, that is the integral part of it, the TV money, and ultimately they're going to be getting almost double the amount they do in the Champions League. I don't know the numbers exactly, but if they compete in this European Super League, I think for a lot of these owners, that's what it boils down to. You know, people who will just switch on their tellies and watch it. It's not the people who go to the games. As I say, we've said they don't care about the fans. I do think to a degree, Flex, it is kind of, you know, being a bit sticking the middle finger up to the Premier League and saying, right, you know, we're going to go and form our own league with these parties. But what gets me is a board member came out of one of the top 6 clubs today and kind of denounced the claims that the Super League was a good idea. So that says to me that you've got these owners, you've got these people of high position at the football clubs. They're the ones. So there's only really like a few individuals that have really come together and made this, because I guarantee the people working at Manchester United are not backing this model. They're not backing this Americanization of the.
They just don't have any control to stop it. Like we don't.
The ones that matter, are they?
The ones that matter they can throw money at it, and they won't care if fans are going to boycott and sit out the first half because there's millions of people watching on TV worldwide. It doesn't matter if, as Rick said, there's 10,000 empty seats at Old Trafford. That's really not. They're looking towards the PR spin saying about how the Super League's going to make it more sustainable and feed down the football pyramid. We talked yesterday, didn't we, on the fan forum about the Championship and clubs coming up. My local team, Watford, They're coming up from the Championship. What is the incentive there? When Beth said it, we're playing it like the Carabao Cup, the Premier League.
Exactly.
They're not playing against Pogba and Bruno. No disrespect, they're playing against James Garner and Tahith Chong. You know, like players that we've had. I'm just naming any players that. You know,
no, it's true.
No
it's true.
disrespect to them players.
No, but the gloss is gone off it. Like,
taken off.
100%.
But wouldn't you, if you have all this money, which number one, it's like you get like 350 million a year or something, but then on the one hand, that leads to, in my opinion, it will lead to inflation, because as you see with Premier League teams at the moment, for example, a Bundesliga club will sell to another Bundesliga club a player for like 20 million. But then if a Premier League club comes in for them, they'll ask for 60 million because they know that they're richer. And it will be the same thing with the inflation with this, I think. But ultimately, though, if they do spend the money, then won't it just lead to like every team having a squad like City? In the sense of you just have high quality subs. So you might have like a team that plays in the Premier League and a team that plays in the Super League. Because if you are ambitious, but the main thing that worries me from a United perspective is we always see whenever we qualify for the Champions League, they're like, okay, that's it, job done, and they don't invest. It's happened since Fergie. It's happened every single time. And we only invest when we're in the Europa League. So now, if there's zero chance of us ever dropping out of this, what incentive do they have to ever invest? They'll just leave the squad. They don't care if we win the thing. We can't be relegated from it. So they're still getting the 350 million every year. So their dividend, you watch as well. Suddenly, because we're worth more, their dividend will go up. They took out like 70 million in dividend last year, which is like a similar amount to what we spent as our transfer budget. And then if we get this extra 350 million, you know for sure the dividend's going to go up. Because that's all they care about. And they don't care, no matter how big the protests get, it will not change anything. If they can do it, they'll do it.
Rick, are the clubs doing that with the Premier League and the UEFA? Are they sort of saying, give us what's ours? Because I find it really weird that when it comes to equality and diversity, you know, racism, sexism in football and stuff like that, inclusivity, they can't stamp out nothing. They give out poxy little fines. They ban players for like 5 games, 10 games for racism or sexism or any form of discrimination, but yet they're committed to kicking it out. But then as soon as something financially impacts UEFA/FIFA/ the Premier League, all of a sudden they can press this button and make you not play in the league anymore. Just like that.
Yeah. They're putting a bit more effort into this, aren't they?
Just a little bit more.
Look, it's just disgraceful, isn't it, mate? It's absolutely disgraceful. I don't know. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful how they do those other things, and then they can put all this effort into this. But they defend what they're trying to do. At the end of the day, it's horrible. All they're really trying to do is defend themselves financially, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
it is though, isn't it? And I know it's an horrible thing, isn't it? It's not us. The football clubs, the big 6 clubs, who are absolutely disgraceful, despicable. They're trying to leave to get more money. And at the end of the day, the ones who are trying to stop them from leaving, really, look, it's all right saying it's going to do this, it's going to do that. Really, they just want money for their clubs, don't they? That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Obviously, clubs could go to the wall through it. Of course they could. But it's still just about money at the end of the day. Still just about money. They want to defend their side of it. They want the TV money still, and they're not going to want Premier League. They're not going to want the big 6 not to be in the Premier League. It's some, watching it unfold is going to be fascinating. It's going to be absolutely fascinating. I hope that that the government steps in and stops it. That's what I hope. But if that can't happen, I can't see the Premier League. I can't see the Premier League stopping them from playing in the Premier League. It's worth too much money, and that's what they're trying to protect in the first place.
Yeah. That's I see what you mean. I just it all. You get the outrage, you get the shock, and then you just home in on your club. And then I kept learning that our club is at the forefront of this. Like Joel Glazer, He's done one. I read that he's done one media piece with our team in 16 years, and all of a sudden, Joe Glazer's vice chairman of this new thing, talking about how it's so amazing for football and all of this stuff, and trying to sell it to us, the fans. And I even read, I think it was Florentino Perez of Real Madrid, who was saying, this is what the fans want to see. Hang on a minute.
He did.
When you, in theory, we do want to see our team play against the best teams, of course. But guess what? Do you know what the beauty of playing against Bayern, when Robin scored that goal from the corner, that volley, and we went out of the Champions League that night? Obviously, I didn't enjoy that. But you know what the beauty of that was? It wasn't every week. Like, we looked for when Nani got sent off against Real Madrid, and it was all a travesty. Yes, don't get me wrong. We were in the Champions League every year, so there was a chance of a huge tie. It wasn't every week. And then post Sir Alex Ferguson, when there were times where we've been finishing in the Europa League spots, we have to earn our spot back to go play Real Madrid again in another semi-final. We ain't been in the semi-final since 2011.
To counter that point, though, I did think about the it will get boring playing these teams all the time, but then I thought, every single time it's a new Premier League season, you're looking, when are we playing Liverpool? When are we playing City? When are we playing Chelsea? They're still... Yeah,
but that's our domestics, though, Alex. Don't you? All right, let's talk about that point.
This will be basically like domestics, though, is what I mean.
Okay, that's all right. That's a really good point, yeah? So if you look at NBA, Rick, do you need to get off? You good?
No, I was going to say something about that while Alex just said that.
Go for it.
Go from with that. Sorry, mate. I know you was going to say the NBA.
Go for it.
Yeah. There's going to be, I think they're aiming at having 15 teams, aren't they, that are going to be in it automatically all the time.
Yeah, and 5 that can get in overall.
So I don't know how they're going to work that out, by the way, because obviously you'd expect it to be you'd expect either 7 or 8 teams to be in both sides of the draw, wouldn't you? So, let's say you're in the group where these 7 teams, you're going to have 6 teams who are so. For example, I don't know if it'll be seeded. It'll probably be seeded in some manner. So in the first season it happens. I know we're talking about this as if we're looking forward to it. We're not. We're just covering at what's going to happen if it goes ahead. And also we're talking about the main point about getting bored with it. That's where you was coming from, isn't it? That's the main point. So we might be at the minute this 12 teams. Let's just look at the 12 teams that are in it. 6 English clubs, right? They'll probably not put us in the same group as City. We'll probably be in with one of the London clubs. Well, there's 3 London clubs, 1 or 2 London clubs, and possibly Liverpool. But then the following season, they might try and mix it up a little bit. And then also, you might be in the same group in the first year with Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, and Inter Milan. And the following season, they might put you in with AC Milan. Do you know what I mean? Try and change it around a little bit like that. And you're only playing them. You are only playing them all twice. So if you're in the same group with Real Madrid, I know you could still get them in the knockout stages. But let's just say you're in with Real Madrid in the first season. You're only playing them twice. Like you might play twice in the group stage of the Champions League. Then the following season, they might try and make sure that you're not in the same group as Real Madrid.
But then the
next season, as a concept, if they had automatic promotion and relegation from it, or you had to achieve something to be there as a concept, I think it might not be too bad. Like you just said, we look forward to playing Liverpool twice a year, don't we?
If we took out, go on, Alex.
I just say my point.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I thought of it while Rick was talking.
We
would play them 2 times a year, but then I've just realised we'd play like the big 6 in the domestically twice a year, in that twice a year.
Boring.
And then if we get them in the final, we'll play them again.
Boring.
Then if we get them in the FA Cup or the EFL Cup, if we stay in there, we'll play them again. So we could end up playing like Liverpool like 6 times in a season or something.
Yeah. Do you remember that night in PSG where Ollie turned it around? It was one of his first it was the start of his.
It's what got him the job, yeah.
Yeah, it's what got him the job. And like, even though we went out in the next round, knockout games like that, one-off games. Because how likely are we to play PSG? We're not even getting in the Champions League every year. I mean, we are nowadays. We've played them actually quite a few times the last few years.
Yeah, but because we earned the right to be there, though.
Exactly, we earned the right to be there, and it's a special night. You're literally there against the TV, like, oh my God, Rashford scored in the 96th minute. Like, everyone's running around the room. It's a special night. It's going to be playing these big teams every week. And for what? only one's going to win out of all of these teams. And I know only one wins the Champions League, but the way that they do it is like, it's special, it's exciting. But with this, you're playing these teams every week. I don't see where obviously it would still be good to watch your team play a high caliber team like Barcelona, PSG. They're not even in it, but you know what I mean. But then the amount of English clubs are in it, like Rick said, and I saw your tweet today, Rick, like, and they're planning to put 3 more in. Are they going to be from the Premier League as well? Like, what is going to happen with that? How many Premier League teams are going to be in it? I don't understand the excitement when you're playing these teams every single week. I don't understand it. It's not special. It's not the Champions League, and it never will be the Champions League.
I agree. One thing I do want to do here, and then I'm going to come to Jack and see what he thinks, is I know it's not even my fault, but I actually feel like apologizing to fans of smaller clubs. Like I feel like we've had our heart ripped out of us, like with this happening with our own club.
You feel ashamed, don't you?
Thank you, Rick. I actually feel ashamed because you know what? I have to defend the fact that I support a big club. I have friends and people real close to me that support smaller clubs and always have talks, say, Flex, like, you will never understand what it's like to support a smaller club, going through relegation, going through playoff finals, coming up and then getting spanked by the real big teams with the big money, getting sent back down the M1, the M6, wherever you're from with a smaller club. You will never understand what that feel like. And I have conversations where in the last couple of years with a lot of people close to me, I've started to understand that more and open my eyes to that. But when I see things like this, I just look back and think they were right all along. All them times that I'm defending Man United, you know, because I'm got a chip on my shoulder and I love my club, I'm still going to defend my club within those things. But I say, but look, you don't know what it's like to support a big club. Your constantly aspirations are high because you're used to winning and you don't know what that feels like. There's so many different feelings you get. No one's wrong and no one's right. But the pain they have to go through just to be even in the same room as us, just to be on the same pitch as us. I know players on a personal level that have played at a high level for smaller clubs who have played against our club. And they say how difficult it is. You know, I speak to some players who say, listen, Flex, you have no idea what it's like to play against Marcus Rashford. You know, we might say we need better. We need more consistency. We need this, we need that. You ask a player who's a professional player all his life, who's played at a lower club and he's worked his arse off to get out the Championship. Look at some of them Sheffield United players come from League One and nearly got flipping Europe last year. You go and ask them fans. You know, you go and ask teams that nearly went into administration. And they're nearly extinct. You go and ask them fans. I feel like saying I'm sorry to them fans because, like Rick said, I'm embarrassed. Like we're trying to tear away their dream. Like you said, Jack, Norwich just got promoted. Where's their dream of being able to win? I know this is going to sound outlandish, but this is, where's their dream of being able to do things the right way? You never know, might get a good owner who are going to put a lot of money in and stuff like that, and they could live the dream. Where's Watford's dream of that? Where's whoever's coming up, whoever's coming down? Where's their dream? You're just wiping it off. You're basically saying the Leicester in 2016, it's nothing. It's nothing what they've done.
Don't you think if they got rid of the big six, though, that like kicked them out of the Premier League, that if you were a fan of one of those clubs, that then you can suddenly aspire to be in the Champions League? You can suddenly aspire to...
Yeah, but Alex, it's not...
But it's not the Champions League, Alex, though. No, it's not. It's not. Because think about it. You're Robert. Go on, Jack. Yeah,
no, I genuinely, like, just talking, other than watching the Premier League, like, I do... My second most watched division out of all in Europe is the Championship. I love it. Absolutely love the Championship. The top half of the Championship. And the race for promotion is... It is quality. Everyone and
it's stressful for them.
And it's stress. It's stress. And Flex, you speak facts when you say about you never know what it's like. I get that all the time down here back home, like all the time. All my mates are like, oh yeah, you just support United, all that. Like, but it's not even about that. It's like as Alex is saying, like, it's all well and good. Oh yeah, Watford. Like I had someone say to me, oh yeah, Watford are going to be in the Champions League maybe next season because they could like get promoted and then get, top four because the big six will be out. But the Champions League, if you won the Premier League, it's not the real Premier League without the top six.
Yeah.
It's not the real Premier League.
Exactly. You're robbing them of the experience. You're literally robbing them of it. That's all you're doing. It's like if we're in the Olympics, yeah, and Usain Bolt had a bad race. Say he had a bad race and pulled his hammy halfway through the 100 meter semi-final, and they go, I'll tell you what, Usain, you're pretty much the face of this thing, and it ain't really going to be a good final without you in it. So I'll tell you what, the guy from Malta who beat you, who ran a faster time than you because you pulled up with a hammy, we'll kick him out, actually, and you can go through to the final because you're protected. That's what you know what I mean? What are we doing?
But you know my biggest worry about all of this. I don't know if you've brought this up, but I was watching the IPL earlier, cricket, and it is a franchise model, and I worry that we all love United, but I look at them and I think they do the draft system, they get drafted players, each year in, year out, and I just worry that I'm going to be looking in a few years' time, if this was ever to come into effect, I love the shirt, but I don't know the identity of my football club. Because you're watching it and it's just a money-making model. I'm going to the game just to buy the shirt. Oh, that's another, 60 quid, or I've got my name on the back or whatever. I'm just printing money for the Glazers. I know we speak about this all the time. Love United, hate Glazers, all the movements that go about. But watching the IPL, and that model works for cricket. But I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, if this was United, I'm just watching. I like in this Super League, the International Champions Cup. When we play in the States, it'll be like that. It will be like that every.
It's an exhibition.
It's an exhibition match. It will be, come and watch United Real Madrid in Miami at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah, that is what is going to happen.
And that's another thing. I think Mark brought it up on one of his. I was listening to his show last night, and it's the whole. This won't just the home games at Old Trafford. If you've got a season ticket, you could kiss goodbye to going to all the games anyway, because chances are going to be played in Singapore, India, all around the world. It's going to be a worldwide franchise, and it will become like the International Champions Cup. Genuinely, it's none of us want it, and I really do hope. I've heard Jamie Carragher. I know you guys were obviously live and stuff, but go and listen to Jamie Carragher and Neville's spat on Monday Night Football. It's so eye-opening. Jamie Carragher says that us as fans need to put rivalries aside, and I totally agree. I think we need to try and stand up against this, but it's not that easy, guys. We know
what Gary Neville said on what you were talking about as well. He said if this is like the very beginning of it, how long till they just do like what happens in like NFL when they could move a team to just a different state.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
how long till you can
imagine that?
Florida
Reds, it may not even be
something.
Manchester Reds. Yeah, it may not be It might just move us to.
Because I think as well that they'll build the MLS up, and me and Drawty were talking about it last night. Said, do you think like David Beckham or something has some insider scoop, and that's why he bought that? Because how long then till they build the MLS and then do like an Eastern Conference or Western Conference, then like so the winner of the European League then plays like the leader of the MLS League if they built that league up.
Yeah.
Wow. I tell you what, you're onto something.
They couldn't get away with that, surely, in football. Like, you cannot take English football and twist it into some globalized franchise.
I don't know, Beth.
Beth, they couldn't get away with this. Yeah, I was going to say they couldn't get away with just doing this.
Because Beth, if they actually get away with this, that's exactly what they're doing. They're saying that the traditions of football is like what Rick said. You play well, you win something, you get in the top four, whatever, you get this. You play poorly, you're not in it, you don't get the money. You play even more poorly, you get relegated. Like if Man United, when Arsenal or Man United, whatever, I remember last season, I always remember this game, going to Carrow Road, and I remember saying, oh my God, this is a 6-pointer. If we don't beat these, we could be in a relegation zone. Do you remember that? And we won 3-1.
It was all crisis.
Oh my God. But you know what? Even that makes me feel a bit pathetic, because again, you have no idea what the smaller clubs go through. We're there saying, that was never going to happen, that we're going to go down. But on the flip side of that, the real reality is, if we would have carried on in that vein of form and we finished in the bottom three, bye-bye Man United. Happened to us in what, the 70s, Rick, was it? When we went 70s, down?
Yeah, I was there.
Right, Rick was there. So at that time, they never went, well, I'll tell you what, you're mighty Man United. That's unfortunate you finished in the bottom three. Here's your free pass to stay in the league. No, you go down.
How would you be able to do it? Who's going to go to the games? When
What
they're
games?
that far away. Save
No,
your
the people who live there in Singapore. If you put Man United versus Real Madrid in the Singapore
fair,
National
to
Stadium,
be fair.
Sell out.
it's gonna be
100%.
It's
rammed.
not football, though. It's not football.
No, exactly. There were
Football is
109,000 people at United Real Madrid about 5 years ago in
Yeah,
town.
Yeah,
Michigan.
yeah, remember
It
that?
sold out. The Rose Bowl was packed. How many of them United fans do you actually think are from England? Like it's American. It's, you know, and I'm not. I would love to know the perception of this overseas. I would love to know what fans abroad, because I don't know if you're sitting there in India now, and I'm not. As I say, you're all entitled to support whatever club you want to support, but I'd love to sit down with someone and just chat about their views on this overseas, because I think they'd be kind of loving this now because they get to see the
I
best
have a
teams.
lot of
loads of
followers like on
Americans.
Twitter, and I follow some people who are from all over the world, and I've genuinely not seen a single person be for this. There's a lot of Americans that are on my Twitter, and every single one of them has said it's a disgrace. And I know that's not speaking for everybody.
Yeah, of course.
But, like, I've literally not come across a single person that is for this idea. And surely on Twitter, you always see someone with that view, don't you? You always do. But I've genuinely not seen a single person.
Yeah, I tweeted about it because obviously I said my comment about the Americanization yesterday. So I tweeted about it, and like a number of Americans tweeted me saying, "Yeah, we don't want the sport to go like this."
And this isn't an attack. Like I said, this isn't about
No, not
trying to just come down. We said about this on the fan forum as well. Rick, do you think that our clubs, and I say our clubs because it's the Premier League Big Six, let's just say us, because we're all in this dirty scheming thing together. Do you think our clubs could actually backtrack in any of this at all? If say say their tactics might have worked, and UEFA say, I tell you what, this has got a really big out of hand. Let's come to the table and talk about money again. You clearly all right, guys, you've made your voices heard. Or do you think they've gone so far into it now that actually it's their intention to carry this out? It's not an empty threat.
Yeah, I agree with you. Your second point, yeah, I think they've gone too far. I think Beth touched on it earlier. They've actually signed deals with each other, haven't they, to go into it for 23 years, I think they said.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, 23 years.
I think the only way it can get stopped, we said it before, I think the only way it can get stopped is if the government can stop it. I don't think anybody else can stop it. And I don't think the Premier League saying you're not going to be able to play in the Premier League will stop it. I think they'll call the bluff. And if they call the bluff, I think, within a couple of weeks, the Premier League will be back trying to do a deal with them.
Has there been not some sort of vote in Parliament? I know Boris Johnson has come out and said he's going to try and put a stop to it, or whatever's happening in politics. But can they actually do something that controls the English leagues to not be able to do this? But then you think about it, like Real Madrid, Barcelona, all of them teams are involved in it. They're not under our government. But for the teams that are in the Premier League and are in England in general, can the government not do anything to put a stop to it? Because I think that is possibly the only chance that we have of the English clubs not going through with this. I think if the government can't do anything to stop it, I mean, UEFA and FIFA aren't going to be able to do anything. So I think that's the only chance we've got.
Like I said, this has been researched for years. Think how rich these people are. They've got the best lawyers in the world looking into it. Do you not think
just come up with this?
Yeah, they've looked through everything. They wouldn't be so brash and confident to come out and say it. To put their cards on the table unless they know they can do it.
No, the biggest problem is as well, Alex, is that this is what Gary Neville touched on. Like Beth said, is they're not something that the government can do, etc., etc. It'll have to be one hell of a law that was written in like 1862 that has never been changed. You know, them laws that like it's just always been there and they can find a little loophole because, like you said, they would have done so much research. But the biggest problem is what Gary Neville said. If they would have had it regulated, like new owners coming over here, you have to go through certain things. You can't just come over here from nowhere, slap down this money and take this, this and this. Because when it suited them, this is what I mean about the people who've got dirty hands in this. All the governing bodies, even the government to a certain extent. Because if they bothered to give a toss about it and not think, well, it's great money coming into the economy, we'll get that coming into us. They've got to pay loads of taxes, we'll get that. And I'm not trying to get too political, but there is a reason why they didn't care until now. And I tell you what, it ain't just about fans. It ain't just about the history of the game. Do not let them trick you. Any of these authorities trick you into believing that the real reason why we all have to save our football it's because these guys have gone against it. It's not that. It's not only that. We know that's why we don't want it to carry on, because we are the ones, like you say, we're the fans. We're not multi-billionaires who are just trying to make an investment and a quick quid out of a football club. But if the government really cared about owning stuff, like, you know, they privatized companies. I remember, this is a little bit off topic, but my principle's the same. I don't know if you remember it, when they privatized the London Underground and things like that. Like when they changed the way things worked for the sense of money, they let it happen if it helps them. Do you know what I mean? They were talking about privatization of the NHS, and I don't mean to get too political here, but I'm just using these as like, just to get your mind right of where we're at if we're trying to kind of lean on the government and things like that. So it's going to take now for them to be saying, whoa, this can affect us. Bloody hell. Now we need to change it, as well as, don't get me wrong, all of the fans as well.
Yeah, like you say, Flex, I don't like getting too much into politics.
Yeah,
myself.
and I'm not trying to do that.
I really don't. It's just a hope that I've got that the politicians can get involved, and whether they've got ulterior motives or not, you know, not sure whether I care if they've got ulterior motives. If they can get it stopped, I'd like them to get it stopped. You know what I mean?
Vipul says, I'm from India and this idea is appalling. Lauren says, relax, guys. Football is not a charity. Many of you not from Manchester and support United. Why are you not fans of the home teams like Norwich, Rochdale? Go to the European Super League. Lauren, I don't know if you're a troll or that's what you genuinely think. So I'm gonna be respectful and say that's what you genuinely think. This is what we're talking about, though. This is exactly what we're talking about. No one's saying that people shouldn't make money out of football. No one's saying that, you know, the big six do bring in a lot of cash towards the league. No one's saying that that's wrong. No one's saying that money, you know, shouldn't be there, that then gets filtered down to the parachute. You know, when you get relegated, you get parachute payment. That helps you. You know, that's from the Premier League. No one's saying that. So you are probably a bit of a troll, but like I said, I'm going to be respectful. That's basically what we're talking about, though, Lauren, to be honest with you, because I don't find this funny. Like, it's not funny what's going on here.
No.
Michael says, yeah, go on, Alex.
I was going to say, I don't know if you guys touched on this earlier in the show, but the thing that I find crazy is how they've basically come out today and said, if you play for one of these clubs, that you're not going to be allowed to play in the Euros, you're not going to be allowed to play in the World Cup.
Yeah.
But it's like, what have England done? What have Spain done? Like the actual countries that they should be penalised, and it's not the players' fault that the clubs are acting greedy. But it's like insane then if we're going to have a World Cup without like Ronaldo, Messi, and like players.
Yeah,
like
but this is, if Ronaldo came out and made a stand, I think like you need that big icon to just come out and really like
play in this league. Is he actually going to play in this league? Because no one else is going to be able to afford his wages.
True.
Pete,
That's true.
I'm telling you that if it goes ahead, all the top players will play in this league because they're going to follow the money.
Do you think Rashford will play in this league?
Of course he will.
Yeah.
Of course he will.
But I've heard that they're trying to file a ban on foreign transfers for any of these clubs.
So
you can't go
only for the
so
big
it's
six. Yeah,
it's only the big.
Do you know what I actually think? The more this is transpiring. Yeah. Let me ask you lot this then. You know, I always play devil's advocate and just bring in different things. And this is to everyone and you lot in the comments. If they took out the fact that it was closed competition, what would your thoughts be?
Mine would change. I'm not even gonna lie.
So you're saying
so there was relegation, there was promotion.
Yeah.
It wasn't like there's 15 clubs saying we all have to be in it, God-given right. If they took out that element that goes against football and they were just trying to freshen up the European system because UEFA maybe gave them a bad deal and they thought, sod that, we'll do a better one than you and get what we, whatever. If they took that out and we were still in the Prem, top four still there, everything, you get a chance to get it, what would everyone say?
It would be better, but how could they decide which teams starting it? Because the teams that are the top 12 are not the top 12. So I know there's relegation, there's promotion.
I know what you mean, Flex. As long as they did have a mechanism for how you qualified for it, whether it was the top four or whether it was the top six even. They might say the top six because, and it couldn't really be the top six, could it? Because there's only 20 in it. There's not 30 in it.
But that's what I think, because this stinks. This stinks of, what this stinks of really, when I break it down, when I take out the shock value from my club, which I'm still ashamed of, right? When I break it down, I think what's happened here is UEFA were always trying to propose some new form of Champions League. This has been a thing for a couple of years now. We've known about this. And I think what's happened is the big clubs has gone, do you know what, guys? Come over here, have a quick private Zoom call quick. You see them over there? We can take them. We don't actually need them because they're going to come to us with a proposal for the new Champions League that's going to rinse us even further and make them richer. Let's cut them out. Now, don't get me wrong. They have overstepped the mark. They've gone too drastic. But I think it has stemmed from them saying, we're taking the power back as the big clubs off of these teams, off of these organizations, as well as teams like Real Madrid, teams like Barcelona. You look at the teams that are doing it, all teams in financial difficulty, a lot of them. Apart from maybe, we're still in debt. You know, we can pay off that debt or just get more money, whatever. I probably won't pay it off. I don't know what I said. We wouldn't do something sensible like get the money and pay off the debt. But what I'm saying is, you know, you look at some of the teams, Italian leagues, the Italian teams, they're struggling for money. So they're getting their money's worth. Plus, the other level of it are saying, well, you know what? We can take the power back.
So do you think that's the whole point then? So they're just, this model is kind of, you know, we're just trying to get you to give us your money. And that's it. So,
I've seen people say that, but I don't think it is. I
don't think they're going to go. No, I don't think they're going to go back on it.
No, neither do I, because I'm saying
they've said
the whole.
No, I'm not saying they're going to go back on it, but I'm saying they've said, we'll take you. We're creating our own thing. We're doing our own thing. Forget you lot. Like, we're done. We're done with you. UEFA, piss off. I think that's, you know what I mean? And then the fans are just collateral damage where they have gone overboard. And what they're probably thinking is, once everyone realised that UEFA were trying to mug everyone off and going to do it, once everything calms down and you realise that your Champions League is going to be crap anyway, this will slowly pick up.
I feel that people are taking the moral high ground as well, saying, I'm done with the club, blah, blah, blah. And there will be some people done. You look at FC United when the Glazers took over, there will be a small percentage that do. But ultimately, and some journalists already said that, like, that is actually their view of that they're just expecting people will be annoyed with it at first, but then it will blow over and everyone will just acclimatise to it and then they'll tune in. That's what they're banking on.
If it goes ahead, that is exactly what will happen.
Exactly.
You know, in 10 years'
and
time,
it will.
people will have forgot about it.
Exactly. And people will be fine with it. It's all well and good to, like, people saying now that they're against it, and they are against it. But when it's just normalised, it will just be part of the game.
One thing that it's made me realise, and we touched on this before when Robbie was on, is the actual owners are not interested in whether you win anything.
No,
all they're interested in is earning money.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, how can I put it? It sort of it demoralises you when you think about the hours and hours that we've spent on here talking to each other about, he should have picked him and he should have picked him and why, you know, they need to put them on. They're not bothered. Yeah. You know, I'm not suggesting the players are not bothered. I'm not suggesting the manager's not bothered. But the owners, like there's plenty of people that are Ollie out and plenty of people that are Ollie in. The owners are not bothered whether he wins, loses or draws.
Put it this way, Rick. Put it this way, if you were to go to Joel Glazer and say, what do you think Man United's best 11 is? Do you think he could even name like 11 Man United players? It's true.
No chance.
No, he couldn't.
He'd still be talking about Alexis Sanchez and stuff like that. He probably didn't even know who's on him. Like that's the page that he's on. I just think I don't know if they've done it because obviously the clubs have bled money since the pandemic. I still don't think it's an excuse because the amount of money that they earn, the dividends they take out of the club, it's not an excuse.
Exactly.
But like, I just don't get how it's gonna work with the Premier League. You're traveling in the week. I mean, I know we've been doing it this year with the Champions League, but it's not sustainable. Traveling in the week and then playing again. And then if you're in the FA Cups and stuff like that, are you going to be playing 2-3 games a week the whole season, every single week?
You'll just get a bigger squad.
Let's work it out. I mean, you would normally hope for United that they're going to play six group games and at least say last 16 games. You might go out in the last 16. So you normally hope that you're going to play at least 8 Champions League games. And rarely more than 10. That'd mean getting knocked out in the quarterfinals, wouldn't it? You know, rarely more than 10. So, but this straight away, it's 18 group matches, isn't it?
Yeah,
18 group matches. It's a lot of
matches. It's a lot. It's adding into our calendar where we already complain it's too much. Like Klopp said, it's more games, it's more money, it's more money. And just to finish up, go on, Rick.
I I was going to say, I take it that have they talked about the League Cup getting scrapped or us not being in the League Cup or something like that? Because all these midweeks,
it's an FA competition, so yeah,
taken up, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. There's not going to be enough time in the football calendar to play it. And UEFA Chief Executive Committee member Jasper Molnar is just saying, I'm seeing breaking news, is saying that Real Madrid, Manchester City, and Chelsea could be banned from this season's Champions League semi-finals. I know we've spoken about that as a thing.
Happens,
will
they just give PSG their first?
Yes,
PSG will get
they're the only ones left in.
that can't be right.
It says here the club should be thrown out, and I expect this to happen on Friday. Then we will see how the Champions League will finish.
Will they promote the teams to the semi-finals who they all knocked out in the quarter-finals, or have they knocked teams out that are also in it?
No, so the only teams left
It's
Real Madrid and Chelsea, and they're both in the thing, so they'll get kicked out.
But who did Real Madrid beat?
Real Madrid beat Liverpool.
Real Madrid beat Liverpool.
Oh, so they're in it as well, so they can't promote Liverpool, can they?
No.
Dortmund could get promoted.
PSG beat.
Yeah.
PSG
you
beat
could do
Bayern,
Dortmund PSG final, I guess.
Yeah, maybe do
So
that.
PSG wins it, and then a few weeks later they announce a part of the Super League, one of the new 5 teams.
It's sad, man. It's really sad. Listen, guys. Thanks everyone for joining. Actually, I say that. Hang on a minute. I can't. Jay's just come. Was literally just about to finish off, and Jay's just come from nowhere.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Fine, mate.
I was trying to negotiate with 2 children to go to bed. So eventually, I got on. So sorry for holding you up.
No worries.
What can I?
Rick, was you going to get off?
Rick, go ahead.
I'll go and use the restroom, and I'll come back.
Okay.
Rick's here for the long run, mate. Go on.
Okay.
Yeah. Go for it, Joe.
Look, I've calmed down since yesterday, only marginally. Last night in the fan forum, I opened with a poem by William Butler Yeats from 1913 and the lockout, and how rich, wealthy owners were literally screwing over factory workers in Dublin in 1913 by literally raising prices and ripping them off. And I feel that's exactly what's going to happen to football. So today, I don't know, did you cover the quotes by the UEFA chief executive, Agnelli? Did you do that?
What about the snake in our camp, or
He
about
came out-
kicking them out?
Sorry, Alexander Sheffrin, I should say. He came out with some absolute pearls today. Obviously, anger, distrust, disdain for the wanton greed. You've discussed that at length. But what he said today, and I'm going to quote him exactly, it was directly in relation to Woodward. And he says, I don't want to call them a dirty dozen, but I've seen many things in my life. I was a criminal lawyer for 24 years. So I've seen different people, but I've never seen people like this. Ed Woodward, I didn't have much contact with him, but he called me Thursday evening saying he's satisfied with the Champions League reforms announced today. He supports the reforms. The only thing he would speak about is the financial fair play. But however, he obviously had already signed something else.
Snake.
It's laughable.
Absolute snake. He then went on to mention Andrea Agnelli, the CEO, I don't know if he's the CEO or he's the director of Juventus, who's actually the godfather of his child, right? So they have obviously a close relationship going back years. And he said, the biggest disappointment of all, I don't want to be too personal, but I've never seen a person in my life lie so many times and so consistently. I spoke with him Saturday afternoon. Quote, don't worry, call you in an hour, nothing is going on. Agnelli subsequently turned his phone off. And the next thing the CEO of UEFA learned about the European Greed League, because I'm referring to it as European Greed League, was the following day when we heard it. And that, guys, that's the level of parasite that we are dealing with as fans. Now, obviously, everybody's had their say, and I don't want to go and repeat what you guys said, but I'm sure it was very eloquent and very well put.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but we're all going to say essentially the same thing. But the big issue I have is that you, I, and everybody watching now, and our million subscribers and subscribers of other fan channels around the world, we are being referred to as quote unquote legacy fans, which means essentially, guys, we, you, I, every one of us watching here live, we are expendable. They don't give two shits about us because they can replace us tomorrow morning with a couple of million fans in America, Asia, and China who will happily buy the merch at inflated prices, who probably will never set foot in Old Trafford, Anfield, the Emirates, the Bernabeu, or Camp Nou. But those fans, they will buy the merch and they will gladly pay for the inflated subscriptions. And what's going to happen is we're all very emotive now, and I've got a record saying, and I stand by it, that I'm done with Manchester United. This goes through, and I will be, and I stand by my principles.
What do you wait? Sorry, Jay. When you say you're done, do you mean literally you will not follow any of the Premier League games? And I don't want to. I'm not holding you to this because it's all very. This is raw. This happened yesterday. I'm just asking. Do you really feel that that's where you're heading with it?
Because it's not the club that I grew up watching, that my grandfather and my dad. I'm glad neither of them are alive today to see this happen. It's the club. Like my grandfather was over in Manchester after World War II, working in the buildings like many Irish people that went to Liverpool and Manchester. So, Liverpool were almost at the stalwart of fandom in Ireland, and obviously with the Busby Babes and the rebuilding of the club, the club almost has had that romance and history about it that I don't really think any other team in the Premiership or the old English First Division or Second Division had. And for me, the romance and the history of our club, it's been eroded. It has. I wouldn't be surprised if 2-3 years' time, United get rebranded as the Manchester Devils or some bullshit.
Don't even
but it wouldn't surprise me. Think about it. They could rebrand us as the Manchester Devils to start their version of an alternate history. And let's face it, they've had like a year now of no fans in the ground. They've been plotting and planning this for a long time. Make no mistake about it. This hasn't just arisen because of COVID and they're trying to safeguard their turnover and the profits going forward. Bullshit. This has been, in the backdrop, I reckon, for at least 10-15 years. I really believe it has. And now it's finally coming to fruition. And I know the national governing bodies of football and FIFA, can you imagine FIFA now being held out as this paragon of virtue? Along with the IOC, one of the most corrupt sporting organizations are now being held up as a savior of football.
Exactly.
Come on,
that's what I said before you got here.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. So for me, the romance is gone because what we had yesterday, literally, guys, was a power grab and a coup d'etat. And through history, when it's a coup d'etat in a country, that's normally followed by a civil war. You've got war and faction will split. And that's going to happen to fan base and football clubs. There's going to be a bit of a civil war. People like myself, and I can't speak for any of us here, you can all tell me, your thoughts. But you'd be thinking, fuck this, guys, I'm done.
Someone said in the super chat.
Yeah, go ahead.
If someone can check it out, that would be good because it's a massive point if it's true. That Romano, and I knew that all the Serie A teams were meeting today, and they said that Juve, Inter, and AC have all pulled out of it now. So if they've pulled out, then surely it would just crumble. That's what someone said in the super chat. And I knew they were meeting today because originally Inter, AC, and Juve weren't going to be invited, and then later on they got invited. And someone said in the chat.
Now, yeah, but if they signed the deal,
but if they've pulled out, then you can't just have the big Spanish teams, the big English teams, and then no one else, can you? It would just be pointless.
That's what I think about the English thing, though, because if we had any sense, we'd realise that without us six, they couldn't even do it.
Exactly.
Which shows we're selling ourselves.
So someone check.
They've signed the deal.
Yeah, so somebody check to be sure. Somebody check.
She's saying about Seville. Saying Seville announced that they're not joining the Super League and have no interest in this kind of project. I'm so proud of our club. We say no to the Super League. Director of football also added. So that's Sevilla saying no. I doubt they were even invited. Bless them.
One thing as well I don't get is, unless they were invited and we just didn't hear about it, it's flat out insulting that Ajax haven't been invited to
100%.
Like they're a
yeah, but there's so many teams you can make cases for. With
but especially Ajax, though. I think.
Oh yeah, no, but not
They're a people's club.
Nottingham Forest have won more. Nottingham Forest have won more European Cups.
Can you?
They've won more European Cups than Arsenal and Tottenham.
That's not what it's about, is it? That's not what it's about.
No, it's not. It's
about money. It's about fan base around the world.
Exactly.
It's about what TV rights you can command because you've got so many fans around the world. So I'm sorry, but Forest don't cut it. I don't care. Look.
No, I agree.
It's a fantastic history that they've, won the European Cup twice. Unbelievable what Brian Clough did, and I remember it. Unbelievable what he did. But if Forest had won the European Cup 10 times, they wouldn't have got invited into it.
That's the reason why Tottenham are in it. They can offer them a big stadium. They can offer them, access to NFL. It all links in a bit fan base. That's the reason why, these teams that haven't done anything in ages are in it.
That's another great thing that Joel Glazer wrote on that thing about that we can have world-class facilities and stuff. When was the last time Old Trafford even got like a
Did you see the water gushing from
exactly
the
roof's leaking? But we can have world-class facilities when you haven't done anything on the stadium in years.
In all honesty, though, we play Leeds on Sunday. Obviously there'll be like a press conference on Friday. We ain't got a midweek game, which is that's timely, isn't it? We don't have any midweek game. There's a nice little gap there. They've already put out that, like you said, when they put that tweet out, not that I didn't expect it, but the cheek. Yeah, the lads are getting a nice rest. It's good to have a clear week. Yeah. Mate, football's fucked. Have you seen what's going on?
No, but it's all right.
Eureka replies, Glazer's out, football's gone, and they just completely ignore all of that.
We might have had our last midweek game of the season, mightn't we?
Yeah. We might not even come back to a semi-final. That's another thing as well, Although, look, I'm not gonna try and be a hypocrite and say we always wanted to be in the Europa League. We're gonna win. This is amazing. But look, essentially, we had to get invested into it because that's where we were at. That's where we fell into. Even that really is you shouldn't be able to even fall out the Champions League and win, get a chance at. That's for money in itself. But exactly. we're accustomed to that. But that is a disgrace even in itself.
Exactly. But, Flex, you just said we're accustomed to it. Another 5-7 years, you'd be accustomed to it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. Carry on.
But would we get accustomed to literally, like, in sport? It's like, no, you don't. It's not about winning or losing. Like what Beth said earlier, is that really going to happen? We're going to get accustomed to that.
Yep.
But the thing is, you are going to try and win it every year, aren't you? So you will look forward to it in that respect. I'm not defending it here, by the way, in any stretch. No. It's a disgrace and I don't want it to happen. As much as the next man, I don't want it to happen. But I do understand that the passage of time, there's a saying, isn't there, that time's a great healer. Yeah. In fact, Jay just touched on the possible rebranding, and it took me back to what Beth spoke about earlier. Not just rebranding, Jay, but it's an Americanism, it's an Americanization of our sport. And we spoke earlier. You're speaking about rebranding. We spoke about buying franchises in the States. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Ricky, I think
was the famous from the 60s, and it's happened numerous times since. The Brooklyn Dodgers, Beth, you probably never heard of them, I guess. But they were a baseball team in New York in the 60s.
To LA.
And they moved them to Los Angeles, 4,000 miles. 4,000 miles. So they don't worry about the fans who are there. None of the fans that were watching them in New York, they're a big proper team, by the way. Not a tin pot club.
None of MK Dons with
none of the fans from New York started travelling to LA to watch them. They just put the team in LA, and then fans in LA start watching them, and they become the LA Dodgers, don't they?
That's happened.
Ricky, you hit the nail on the head there, Ricky.
Hence why he's the vice chairman of it. They this is what the Glazers probably have wanted for a very long time, and now they've got all the clubs on board. I mean, Joe Glazer's the vice chairman. How embarrassing is that? I honestly, when you first started saying it earlier in the show, I couldn't wrap my head around the fact they could possibly change Manchester United football team into some franchise that goes all over the world. You were talking about going to America, playing games in different stadiums. I can't get my head around that, because the Manchester United we know and love is born and bred in Manchester. It came from the workers. It came from the Busby Babes, all of that, and all of that history. Manchester United is built on history. You might as well just put it all in the bin, because it's not Manchester United.
You're 100% correct. This morning I tweeted Manchester United 1878 to 2021 RIP. And it is the death of the club as we know it and everybody watching know it. And Ricky is spot on his point. The business model in America is, if the mayor of a big city is willing to finance a stadium, the owners will jump.
Sorry. Ricky's in his search engine.
Yeah, but I'm actually agreeing with Ricky. Ricky should be soaking this in. Ricky, soak it in, savor it. Come on, I'm agreeing with you. No, listen, man. Ricky's spot on. Somebody else said earlier on, and I agree, it is the Americanization of this sport. Now, Flex, you watch basketball. I'm a huge NFL fan. This is not anybody here being anti-American. I don't want anybody putting in some bullshit, chat or anti-American. That we're not. This business model is there in American sports. The Oakland Raiders, American football team, got moved from Oakland because the stadium was basically falling apart. The mayor of Oakland and the local businesses wouldn't invest money. So basically, Oakland got moved to LA. Then Las Vegas came in. Oh, we're going to build you the best stadium in the world. And where are the Oakland Raiders now? They're in Las Vegas. They're now the Las Vegas Raiders. So if you lived in Oakland 30 years ago, which is a poor enough area in America, you do not identify nowadays with the all singing, all dancing, all flash, Billy Big Bollocks, LA Raiders. You can't identify. And that is the danger that could happen to this club. The model already in the NFL is they come to London every year and play some regular season games. Every team, apart from the Green Bay Packers, has come and played in London. They only play 16 regular season games, and they're contractually obliged now that they must play one regular season game in London or even in Mexico.
That's crazy.
And wait and see, guys. Wait and see. We're going to end up playing Barcelona, AC Milan, or whoever in Singapore, Indonesia, or whatever, 3-4 o'clock in the morning, because TV money will dictate that's what we do.
But Jay, I was going to say you'd know best with this with the NFL. I think it's just that it might be a new idea to just globalize all sports, because aren't they trying to move the Jacksonville Jags to London as well, or create an NFL team in London?
Yeah. How the NFL works is they need a majority of the owners. There's 32 teams, so a majority of the 32 teams, the owners, have to vote for an NFL team to either move to London, aka the Jacksonville Jaguars, or B, set up a separate franchise in London. They have to agree as a majority vote. Everyone's got one vote. It doesn't matter if you're Jerry Jones at the Dallas Cowboys or the Glazers at Buccaneers. Everyone's got everyone's got one vote. So until they all vote on it and there's a majority, it can't happen. But yeah, that's been talked about for years with the NFL. They want to globalize. And now we are getting $5 billion, is it dollars or euros, I can't recall, bankrolled by JP Morgan to Americanize our sport, our beloved football. And it's going to be fuck the grassroots, fuck League One, fuck League Two. Pardon my language, guys. No, I don't pardon my language. That's how I feel. It's all going to be about taking the cream off the top.
If it goes ahead, I've got no doubt in my mind that it will slowly but surely become exactly like American sports. And like you said, I love America. Absolutely love it. And I quite like the American sports. And I quite like how it works there, but it's not how we want it to work here. And it will become like that. And they will move clubs and they will get you to play.
They will.
It wouldn't surprise me one little bit. Look, at some stage, it wouldn't surprise me one little bit if they wanted Manchester United to be a London club. Wouldn't surprise me one little bit.
Would surprise me.
They see it as the capital. That's where it's all going on.
Yeah.
The same way they'd want a team to go to LA or New York, California. You know, the big.
That's not Manchester United, though.
No, it's not. It's not.
But that's the point, Beth. That's the point.
But Manchester United is a Manchester team that is in Manchester and should be Manchester. That's what it's built on.
Brooklyn Dodgers had thousands of supporters just like you when the Brooklyn Dodgers got moved to LA.
They literally just went like that. Went like that.
That's
went like that. That's literally what they want.
That's not how the English football has ever worked in this country. So I think throwing something that, and I do agree with Rick, I think in 5-10 years' time, I do think fans will naturally become accustomed to this. But it's something that will be so alien if they were to just, throw us from A to B. We've never had it in this country. And I understand what Jay's saying, but I think the draft system could come in. You know what they do in NBA and NFL? I don't know how it would work practically.
So you say to Fulham, you get to pick the next kid coming through at Barcelona who's supposed to be the new Messi because you're near the bottom of the league, so you get first draft pick. Yeah. And then Fulham would have the new Messi in their team, while Man United get the new prospect coming through at, I don't know, Accrington Stanley or something.
But they also have it. But you can also do trades, can't you?
And trades. Yeah, there's no transfer budget.
Yeah.
Like you have to swap a player for a player, or if it's LeBron James, you better give me 4 players because
that's what I was going to say. So if you want Messi, do you have to just transfer like 3 or 4 of your players, to get somewhat like?
Yeah. But also in American sports, there's a salary cap.
Yeah.
Each team has the exact same salary cap, and it changes year to year. So I don't know what the cap is for this year. So basically, if you're allowed, for argument's sake, spend $300 million on salaries for the year, and you sign Bruno Fernandes, he's on $50 million for argument's sake. You have to pay. Then you got to find other players on 20, 10, 15. You can't go over the 300. For argument's sake, that's how it works in American sports. So that's why. Yeah, go ahead.
Does each club only allowed
it's a salary cap across the board. It's the same in the NBA, Flex. Salary cap. Yeah. Okay.
The thing that kills me the most is that, as a Man United fan, I think that this will kill academy football, and I feel, and I know like loads of United fans feel like, with like the academy, it's such a massive part of United's story. Like, you won't get a Greenwood, you won't get a Rashford, like that'll be done. And this club, especially more than most clubs in the world, is like built on that academy. And to me, I don't know about other people, but it feels so much better having like a Rashford or a Greenwood burst onto the scene and score than kind of use a cheat code and just pay 80 million for a player and then be the scorer, like developing it ourselves. And it can even be like a Ahmad or a Pogba when we got them. It can be like that as well, that you get them from a young age, but then you like sculpt them yourself rather than just buying this ready-made player like a Real Madrid or something. That would just bore me, like, or Man City. But I love about United is that we have had that academy and that we bring these players through. Like Greenwood's been with us since he's like 8. Rashford's been with us since he's 8. Henderson probably as well.
Can I say what I like equally as much? There is something you've missed out there. You spoke about buying players for tens and hundreds of millions, and you spoke about bringing players through the youth ranks. I love the scouting system, me. Where do we last pick up a Dennis Irwin for a couple of $100 or something like that? Do you know what I mean? You don't have to come
Ricky,
through.
That would be. We got Dan James.
80 million quid.
We got Dan James.
Yeah, steal. Going to be worth 100 million.
Are you thinking, Ricky? Good, no more academy, so no more Rashford or Greenwood.
£5 and £10 million players that can make the grade with us. What's wrong with that?
It's going to be. I think these next, to sum it up, guys, as we close the show, the next coming like months, days, weeks, whatever, is going to be absolutely carnage, because I think you're going to get people going to court, you're going to get lawsuits. I don't know how they get a solution by the time the new season even starts. What happens then? Because, it looks like it's going to affect even this season, which ain't even finished yet.
Well, did you see that they're like Man United will happily take part in the Champions League next season? It's like, oh, will you? You really?
It's like, yeah.
Just until we sort this out.
Do them a big favour, and we'll go in your little tournament.
As Roy Keane would say, do me a favour.
Following year.
Do me a favour,
It just shows the shamelessness of this club. It is
100%.
insane.
Now, Flex, I just want to ask you something just quickly, like, because I've asked this to like several people as well, but I just want to know your views on, obviously, Sunday, Leeds away, one of the biggest games all of us are looking forward to. How genuinely are you feeling? Because I can't think about Sunday.
Don't know, yeah, you can't. Like, I'm so glad we didn't have a game like today,
exactly
like Liverpool. It's overshadowed by that. Even Gary Neville and Carragher in the Monday Night Football analysing it, like Rick said. Like, well, I think Gary Lineker. Sorry, my camera's. Camera's had enough. It'll come back on in a sec. Gary Lineker tweeted sort of, oh yeah, Liverpool getting 3 more points to the thing that they don't even need to qualify for the top 4. Some ironic tweet sort of thing. And that's just it. Like, what's left? What's left?
There's nothing. Like Sunday's Leeds away.
We don't know where we stand.
Did you see though that Leeds put those T-shirts in Liverpool's changing room, and Klopp was like freaking out, being like, "You don't have to tell us, we have to earn it." And they were all wearing like warm-up shirts. Saying,
is that what they're doing? Rubbing it in, mate. And they're entitled to do it.
They wore it themselves, and they left it for Liverpool to wear. And Liverpool refused to wear it.
Oh, mate, there you go. Listen, guys, it's been a long show today. 2.5 hours. Wow, amazing stuff. So much to talk about, and you know what? Each day is going to bring something different with this.
Yeah.
It's our club. We're the fans. We love the club. You're not here at the United Stand. It's not going to change in terms of us talking about this. I feel like this is a place where we can all come and just vent, mourn. Yeah, we can come and mourn. It's bad. Some people may say that's being melodramatic and stuff like that, but it's true. But you know, it is what it is, and we have to see what's coming on. Beth, thanks for coming on. Rick, Alex, Jay. Jack, and obviously to KG and Robbie, who joined us earlier. There'll be plenty more shows coming up, because at the end of the day, this isn't going to go away anytime soon, is it? And it's going to be a mad run. Big up to everyone watching at home across the world, and remember this what's going on is never an attack on any kind of fan or rival fan who lives abroad. This is not what this is about. And I know you guys know that, but I always think it's really important to say it, because we are all one. And for the good of football as we know it, we just want to keep our game. That's all we're asking for. We just want to keep our game. We're not against it moving on or modernizing or whatever. We thought we were being open-minded with VAR, and look at that. We're always open to change. But this seems like a step too far. Thanks for watching, guys. Keep safe, everyone. And we'll see you all very soon.